Okay, and we are live. Thank you so much for joining us again, Ryan. So for those of you watching who don't know, Rian Waters is a man who is somewhat infamous for beef with Aidan Kearney, aka Turtleboy. But he has some other claims to fame, right? Because you're writing a book and you
Oh
have
yeah.
inventions, and so quite an interesting guy. And you've had some conflict with your ex, which has gotten you a little bit of notoriety, and you just have a lot on your plate, right? So last time we had the interview with you, we talked to you about, the issue with your girlfriend and why you say you're innocent. But we kind of surprised you. We had Aidan on. Now we did ask for your permission, but that's definitely not, we talked this time. You said you didn't want that this time, so he's not here. Maybe he's in chat, but I don't know. So, yeah, last time was kind of stressful. No, I didn't mean for it to end that way.
Yeah. Well, I expected there to be trouble, to be honest. And so I actually kind of prepared for it, and I don't know. I didn't necessarily I wasn't prepared to give my best interview, but I was prepared for trouble.
Well,
Um
I'm really sorry. I don't want to cause trouble. I wanted you to have the opportunity to have your back and forth, but now that I see that had made you so uncomfortable last time, I really do want this to be like a pleasant experience for you and any future guests to be able to just say your piece, whether or not I agree with what your piece is. So,
okay.
yeah.
Well,
So, how are you?
I'm excellent. I'm excellent.
Yeah. What are you up
There,
to recently?
well, there's been quite a lot of action with court. For sure. There's me and Aiden. We just had on. Well, so that last interview, Aidan Kearney ended up affirming his desire to make Chrissy Yakomowski want to commit suicide or make her feel that way. And so that's actually, I ended up filing a criminal complaint in Boston because we had a pending proceeding in Boston for this in the Supreme Judicial Court, which ended up giving them jurisdiction. The and I feel that hearing, we ended up having a hearing on December 1st, and the actually showing up to it, like I tried to subpoena Chrissy Yakomowski, and the court said that they wouldn't issue a subpoena. And then at the hearing, like I had my turn, and I didn't think I would have a chance to ask questions. Actually, another point is both me and him asked to make it public. I did it written motion. He asked orally. Um, and then so I end up I have my part, and then he goes on, and the first thing the clerk says is, "Oh, okay, well you can ask him questions if you want." And it was just like, well, I didn't have that chance. And then Aiden brought up a whole bunch of arguments that I had never heard before. He had never mentioned, or a lot of them were irrelevant and, in my opinion, prejudicial. And then the clerk goes, "Well, you can only respond to one argument," which it was just like, I didn't have notice. So, how can I have a meaningful opportunity to be heard if I didn't have notice of the arguments beforehand? So I ended up actually complaining about that. We still had the SJC case trying to appeal to Springfield. And actually, the clerk, like, immediately just denied it. Or in the Supreme Judicial Court, no explanation at all. And that's just like, and that's really what's been bothering me. I mean, these courts could have stopped this forever ago, just by, like, if there was a good explanation for why he was able to threaten her, then they should just tell me. And if there was a good reason, then I'd be done. It would be done. But instead, they just deny me without any explanation, which just leaves the question in the air. Well, why? Why is it okay for him to threaten emotional harm to every witness I ever have? I don't. I don't necessarily.
More than there's another one other than Christina Yakomowski.
Yeah, well, he punishes anyone that helps me in any way, shape, or form.
No, but any witness. Was there another witness that you're
Well, okay,
saying?
even what would be called a potential witness. Yeah, Shannon LeBerry or whatever, Shiz. He's, he's attacking her over her like miscarriage, or I don't know the full story. But yeah, and it is, he has said it multiple times when attacking them that the reason why he's attacking them is because they actually, even he literally said, gave me evidence, like uh yeah, I have it on video. And so that's just the and
Christina is accused of spreading, I don't know if you've seen them, but his naked pictures, right? The pictures that I know you've seen, the videos
yeah.
that you've seen of him. Okay, so Christina was the one who put those videos out in public. And Shizzle used to be a turtle rider and has had a falling out with him. And I'm trying not to talk about her or Kate anymore. So I'd like to just avoid talking about them. But you see how he has had personal conflicts with these two women, and it's not necessarily him attacking them to prevent them to testify.
Yeah, but that's well. The thing is he's literally, the times when he's attacked them the most is when we have court proceedings going on, and he's actually literally said, like if you go through the group chat thing, he ends up calling them my witnesses. He literally goes through and the group chat thing. I was just saying the YouTube video where it's like admissions and group chat. I want to say it's kind of a long video, but in several
Do you
parts
want
of
to
it.
play the video, your video?
Um, which one? Well,
The one
I mean,
that you
I'm not actually overly concerned. We don't even have to go too deep in that video with her. We'll get to that soon. I didn't want to get too deep into the Aidan witness intimidation thing. I mean, actually, I'll explain why. Maybe we should back up. Last time we did it kind of quick. I wasn't really expecting. Um, so let me actually explain, how I ended up in that California.
Ryan, let's take a deep breath. Let's relax. Think about everything that you want to say. And you have the time. This is your time. This is your platform. This is Rian Waters' interview. So really sit for a moment, relax, and think about what you want to tell everyone about who you are, why you're filing these cases, and everything.
Yeah. So that was uh so yeah, backing up, like when growing up, my mom was a chemist, dad was a lawyer, and they were actually separated, but my entire family is just all exceptional people. Everyone, went to good colleges. I mean, exceptional as in like professionally, like exceeding far. And actually, I was like the first in like all my cousins that like didn't go to college, and like a large family tree. But and actually, so the reason why that happened actually is it was just when I was 19. Shortly before that, my mom, she broke her leg while she was a single parent, and that, financially, we could have been better off at that point. And I had an opportunity where I was making like 10 grand a week, grabbing cannabis up in north, near the Canadian border. Um, and that, I mean, it didn't last too long. Where I ended up getting in trouble. But that's actually the reason why I bring that up is because that actually, it really shaped the rest of my life. And it also, it's a big part of why I'm still fighting, is the way that all happened. Like I actually had a gut feeling before I even drove down, where I was just like, I kind of knew something was going to happen. And gut feelings are very common with me. But that time it was just like I had a strong gut feeling. And I was even like, I ended up smoking some of it. And the time before I didn't smoke any, but that time I was like, I'm not going to go to jail for this weed without smoking any of it. Like that was like, I really had a bad feeling. And then the other thing, it was supposed to be 10 pounds, but I ended up only getting 9 because they ran out of the outdoor or whatever. So I got stuck
So this
getting,
is why you couldn't go to college.
yeah, but it ends up like so this it ends up getting interesting where the 9 pounds, if it was 10, I would have spent at least a year in prison or maybe more, but because it was 9 pounds is a whole level lower. And then I ended up getting pulled over in the only county where, actually, this is first it's gone public. I don't want to go even too deep, but I ended up getting an ex-judge of the town. Ended up like I get in. I didn't. I'm halfway down New York. It's like a 6 hour drive, and I fill out the paper for like a public defender. I don't know what's going on. And then the next day, I end up finding out that the ex-judge of the town is representing me. He left retirement. His picture's on the wall behind the current judge, and he ended up changing the DA's diapers. Like he was, super high connected. And I couldn't have pulled that off in every county. So that county. So the point is that it was just like for it to happen, it happened in the best way possible. Where I ended up having. Instead of being 10 pounds, it was 9 pounds. And it ended up being in a county where like I got the best deal possible without having to, I don't know, do anything shady. But so that ended up, the point of that was that blocked me from being from going to college. Where it's just like, had that not happened, I probably would have been an engineer, just regular. And or a lawyer, one or the other.
Well, there's attorneys that have had criminal histories.
It's possible, yeah. It would be a lot easier for me just to go out to California, though, because like paying for law school and paying for all that as a felon, I think would end up being tough. But if I were to go to California and do the apprenticeship thing, I'd actually probably be able to do that pretty easy. But that did steer me where after I got out of there, I ended up I ran businesses. It seemed like the best option that I could do it was just work for myself. And that was so like my first business, I had a light up t-shirts. I had them designed. Actually, I copied the Grateful Dead. Steely was one of my first good ones, and I ended up I changed it slightly, but I even Rhino Records ended up getting them. I've actually given them to different members of the Grateful Dead. And actually I randomly met with them a lot. I spent a lot of time going to music festivals. But so so that was my first business, and I was traveling around, and that's what got me to California is when I had my Facebook page of all places. We ended up like half of our fans, Pop Design was also one of my popular ones. And most of my fans were in California. And so that was actually initially, yes. And it was just like, oh, I know people in California. And it just so happened, since I went to festivals and stuff, that I happened to know like people up in the Emerald Triangle.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's what led to that town, where it was just like, had I never been, gotten arrested with the weed, then I would have ran a normal, or more normal life track.
Yeah, but you have to admit running drugs in the first place is not leading a normal life.
Well, that wasn't necessarily going to be a long-term thing. I mean, that was just like, it was just, I seen an opportunity to make 8 to 10 grand a week. And it was just, and it wasn't like a lot of business. It wasn't like I was like running around hustling. It was just like, oh, grab it, boom, boom.
Have you ever seen the TV show Breaking Bad?
Yeah.
Did he go into it planning on being like the drug lord, or did he just? I think everybody just kind of starts seeing it as like a quick way to make money, and then they kind of get stuck, and then they either get stuck in the business, dead, or in jail.
There's a big difference between weed and what he was doing, though, meth. But and now another point of that, actually, so that's a good point, is that like obviously what I was doing in California wasn't that wild, where they say like if you're in the upper levels of business, like they say the only way out is death or jail, right? So
so you go through this, you go through
Yep.
this whole experience, you move to like
California.
the not only California, but like Emerald Triangle, like the most weed heavy part of the country. Like the only jobs there are marijuana based.
Yeah, and actually, I went to one of the towns that it was. You don't end up there unless you know somebody. Like it was all a lot of powerful, connected people. But it
What
where
town
am I?
was that?
Well, that was the South Trinity, Hayfork, um,
Mhm.
is the general area. Um, but all right, so I end up in that, and actually, it's cleaned up a lot since the legalization. A lot of the illegal farms all moved away because the licensed farms showed up, and the licensed farms are like paying to uh, bust the illegal farms. So it's actually the whole dynamics has changed a lot in recent years. But from 2012 to 2016, it was very yeah, it was very wild. Um,
Okay. Then you went from Emerald, and this is where you met your ex girlfriend.
well, she how I ended up with her actually, she it's kind of a funny story. I went down to Florida, some magazine salespeople, I met them, they like I hung out with them for a day, realized they were a scam. They stole my wallet, and then she ended up saving me. She paid for my trip up. And that's why I like fell for her, is because she was just like she's saved my butt while I was in Florida. Um, yeah. So that's how I
And
met
then
her.
you
And
dating
then
her.
and me and her we traveled around. We went to music festivals for a summer. And we were just like every weekend we were at a different music festival just selling light up t-shirts. And then at the end of the summer, it was like, okay, well festival season's over. Oh, they're trimming in California. Oh, we can go make, $500 a day or whatever up in the mountain. And so yeah, so the we went up and actually and that's actually okay. So how we got in there is like we showed up and me and her, we both were working 7 times faster than everyone else, and we were actually just getting paid hourly, so we didn't need to, but we were just doing it because, and we were just like racing each other, and we were nugging off buds, and he had a couple auto trimming machines, and yeah, anyway, so we stood out and the other people tried to make it not look that way, but they still noticed. And so at the end, we just got an offer where it was just like, hey, yeah, all that is all yours, where we ended up getting I don't know, like 10, 20 pounds or something for free, as just like a bonus. Um and yeah, I don't know. And then we were invited
Do you pay
back, that
taxes on that bonus?
wait, one more time.
Do you pay taxes on that bonus? Like, do you have to figure
Uh,
out like that that marijuana in trade, and then figure out what the taxes on that would be as a gift, and then add that to
it's
your
hard to
tax?
recall exactly how it works out. Um, there's generally in California, yeah, I don't remember exactly. I had people take care of taxes at the time, but
Hmm.
it yeah, no, generally in California, cannabis was legal as long as or selling cannabis was legal to other people that had cards, as long as you made more money in whatever your normal business is, or as long as it wasn't your main business at the time. Um, hey, I'm not making the rules.
Heard
That's
that rule. I just never heard that rule that you could sell cannabis as long as you were selling other things, and you had to sell
no,
more.
no. I'm saying back when it was medical, and if somebody else had a medical card and you had a medical card, then there was nothing to stop you from selling it. I mean, there was people that would you collect cards for people. Like there was a lot of the farms that they'd have cards where they'd be growing for 10 different people, and like and each person they'd be growing a certain amount for each one. Um,
Okay. So you went over how you had the downfall of your relationship last time. And then you went over how you think that the dog was injured, what, 3 days prior by the cabinet? right?
It was like 36 hours beforehand.
Okay. Okay, so like a day and a half beforehand.
Yeah.
And then
You
the
want to
dog was
jump into that? Well,
the dog
okay. So
and
I was actually, I guess we did get a little bit off track, but the whole point of where I was going is it was just like after that, I started the extraction equipment company, and I just happened to know those people. And so it was at the when, yeah, let me get right back. So I was making, I mean, the business, there's a lot of expenses, so it's hard to say what I was actually making. I had a lot of money coming in, a lot of money going out. But I was living comfortably at the very least, traveling and doing well. And I was working on Canatopia Music Festival. And that's actually, I guess maybe that's part of why I've been so upset this whole thing is Canatopia. I actually had an advisor who's like, he throws the biggest music festivals, like 40, 50,000 people each year shows up to him. I'm not going to point him out at this moment. But he was my advisor. Tommy Chong's manager, actually, he was helping out with getting financing out in Vegas, and he was probably going to be some sort of role in it. And the idea is we were going to make the Marlboro cannabis by throwing a music festival on Canatopia. Canatopia would be like, you know, the Woodstock of cannabis, like where we'd have like a bunch of mainstream bands, and the whole
already the Woodstock of cannabis. Like,
wait,
isn't
what?
Woodstock very cannabis based?
Not really, not compared to like High Times, or the I guess more. Have you heard of the Emerald Cup? Or
You might
basically,
be a little more of a stoner than I am, believe it or
that's
not.
okay. But either way, that's the alcohol. The idea behind that was Budweiser. Like they did a lot of their tribute, their success to sponsoring sporting events and stuff like that, because they said that people, when they have a good time and they enjoy a product, it sticks with them. You get brand loyalty that way. And Bush said that they had the best bottles back in the 80s or whatever. So the idea I had is if we had the best packaging and we had, you know, you took advantage of a music festival, that certainly, you know, we could jumpstart a brand, license it out. So that was the whole goal behind that. And that was the thing is, so I was looking at doing, I mean, I was looking at buying a $1.6 million golf course. I was looking at making insane money before all this happened. Like when I was super excited about buying a property in Maine when my ex-girlfriend robbed me and everything. Like that was the last thing I didn't care about her at all. I cared about the music festival. Like I was 100% in love with creating this music festival when that happened. And that's why I was just like, oh, it's over, it's over. And I was leaving her was when she got upset. And yeah, so I guess we could go in. You want to play that video now?
Sure, Henry, if you don't mind queuing up the video whenever you can, that would be great. And there we go. Let's start from the beginning because it looks like it started a little bit at the end. Okay. And here we go.
Hello, my name is Rian Waters. In this presentation, I'm going to present evidence that shows that my ex-girlfriend tried to frame me for animal cruelty and domestic violence. The criminal charges were dismissed for failure to prosecute, but a hate speech blog called Turtleboy Reports ended up harassing me over these allegations for the last few years. I am actually not mad at my ex-girlfriend. I consider what Turtleboy has done to her to be more than enough punishment. So I ask that, you know, people refrain from harassing the department over what I'm about to address.
Okay, we can stop.
Can I pause it just for a second? If you don't want people to harass her, why would you say her full name right in the same sentence?
I mean, it's already, well, I mean, it's part of the story. It is what it is.
And then in this frame, are we looking at the bruises that she had on her face and on her arm?
I have no idea where the bruises on the arm came from.
Or what about on her eye?
They didn't come from that incident. At least the shoulder. And the eye, I don't know if I did cause or not, as you'll see when you play the video.
Okay.
Now that's the other thing. Okay, so and maybe we didn't mention that before, is I had a ton of money. And that's what chapter 1 Waters for his Facebook is going to get into, is that I had like $250,000 in a safe.
Wow.
And I did not install the cameras. And that's really what all this is about, is she just wanted the money.
If she had $250,000, what did she spend it on?
I have no idea. Hopefully something decent.
Alrighty, let's continue playing the video.
Waters wrote about him 5 or 6, or he was written about 5 or 6 years ago. He said that he beat a dog. He was arrested for beating his girlfriend, killing a dog, her dog, stomping on its back, and then he had he was going to go to trial, but then it never happened because the girlfriend is a domestic violence victim and got cold feet because he threatened to make up lies to DCF about her.
What he just said is absolutely ridiculous. Samantha Cardin pled the Fifth because the court appointed a Fifth Amendment attorney who showed her evidence that proved that she was likely framing me. The reason why she told Turtleboy that I was a drug dealer is because if she told him the truth, he would have attacked her like he attacked me. Actually, quick pause. It was actually, honestly, it was the DA's decision. It was his idea to get the Fifth Amendment attorney. It was after there was the assistant.
Sorry, what do you mean by the Fifth Amendment attorney?
The assistant DA that was working on the case ended up getting fired or leaving or something weird one day in December, and then so like the head guy of the office took over the case, and
The district attorney?
At the district attorney's office, yeah.
So the district attorney took over?
Well, I think it was just the head person and the Palmer one. But either way, it was just the department head or whatever. But when he ended up taking the case and he looked through it, he seen my evidence and he was just like, I don't think, he didn't think that she was going to be a reliable witness. So he actually, I guess he talked to my attorney and my attorney did draft the motion to appoint a Fifth Amendment attorney, but the Commonwealth assented to it or whatnot. But because they didn't want to waste time on a trial where she's going to show up and not be able, her story just didn't make sense. And I guess we'll get into that, but that was actually, so it was, I mean, the DA, he, at the time, even when we left that day, he like shook my hand. He's like, oh, I wish you luck, blah, blah, blah.
I don't think that necessarily, I wouldn't read too much into a handshake, is all I'm saying.
Yeah, fair enough. But yeah, we can play. On April 15th, 2022, I deposed Samantha Cardin for the Turtleboy state case, and she knew very well that the reason why she was there was to prove that I was a drug dealer.
What is this court case about, actually? Can I ask that? Because I have no idea what this is even about. I just got served papers, which is kind of asinine.
Okay. Well, okay. So what this deposition is about is, were you given or did you sign an affidavit on or around December 1st?
Yes, that you sold drugs in California. Yes. Yep, I did.
Okay. So then you know what this case is about.
So wait, pause. What was that case about again?
Whether I sold drugs in California.
So you sued her for defamation?
Technically, that was actually, I sued Turtleboy for that claim. She didn't get listed for that one. She actually never publicly said that. At least not to my knowledge. He was the only one that said it.
So wait, you sued Turtleboy for what Sam told him?
Well, he wrote in his book, he said, according to the woman, he sold drugs in California and he shipped them. And then he ended up saying, everything she said was a fact was true. And I know this as a fact. So he ended up, and actually in Massachusetts law, it doesn't necessarily matter. Even just, even if you do say it, like, well, I don't know. How'd you word it? Sorry.
Defamation? Is that
No,
what
no,
you,
no. How did you word it before when you were like, just a minute ago, you tried to make it sound.
did, okay. So did you sue Turtleboy for what Sam said is what I asked you.
Oh, no, no, no. Yeah, no. It was what he wrote. It was what he wrote in a book.
Okay.
And as far as my knowledge, I don't even know that she actually, I guess she did just say that there. But until the deposition, I didn't know that she even did write it or say it.
Wait, is she, it sounds like she is in a lawsuit here. Can you back that up?
No, no, no. She was just a witness
Okay, so you called her as a witness
for a deposition. Yeah.
for a deposition to sue Turtleboy for
Yeah. The reason why I brought her in is to prove that wasn't a drug dealer. To show that she didn't have any evidence that I was a drug dealer. And no evidence did come up in the deposition.
drugs in California?
Wait, what?
Did you ever sell hash in California?
Did I ever sell? I mean, no, not really.
Okay, I'm gonna take that as a yes. Sorry. Not really part. No,
Well,
not really.
no, I mean, like,
I talked to you, right? And I know that you have sold hash in the past because of your machine, which processes weed too. So, like, I know you sold hash.
well, no, I mean, okay, well, there was times, but I mean, it wasn't like, I don't know.
So then, what she's saying is therefore true. Then.
Well, no, I mean, that's well, okay. First off, it was just actually he implied that it was not even cannabis in the book.
So he just said drugs. The statement was you sold drugs in California, and hash was an illegal substance at the time when you sold it, and would be classified as drugs.
You probably would have been a better lawyer than whatever.
Defamatory statement is what I'm trying to get at.
I would disagree, and I actually think that a jury would somewhat disagree too. And then as far as like saying that I'm a drug dealer, I wasn't like that. I wasn't a drug dealer. Just because I like, maybe at one point or another, I can't even necessarily recall. Maybe I sold some oil or something. But it wasn't like my primary business. My primary business was selling extraction equipment and consulting.
So if your primary business is something else, then that you don't qualify as a drug dealer. So, like, let's say my primary business is being an attorney, but then on the side, I sell a little bit of coke.
No, that's totally different. Because coke is like a serious drug. Cannabis is medicine.
Let's change it.
If you sell Tylenol, does that make you a drug dealer? And I don't know. Are you a drug dealer if you go to CVS and you sell somebody Tylenol?
Pretty sure you're not allowed to do that. I'm pretty sure I think you can get in trouble for selling even over-the-counter medicine without the proper licenses. I think you can.
I don't know.
Sure.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure. I don't know though. I could be wrong. No, because I know hotels sometimes will sell you Tylenol, so that can't be true. I don't know. I'll look into it. But okay, let's do this. If you are an attorney or a doctor or whatever, primary job, and you make, let's say, $100,000 a year at that job, and then you sell weed and make $50,000 a year selling weed, are you not a drug dealer? Because your primary job is a profession?
I don't think selling weed is a drug dealer, to be honest. So that's actually let me
just finish my thought here. So just because you don't classify something as a drug dealer, do you see how Sam and Aidan can say, yeah,
there's no way that Sam said that? Because I asked her during the deposition, I go, did you do drugs or do you do drugs? She goes, no. I'm like, did you do drugs in California? And then suddenly it was just like, oh, well, yeah, I guess I smoked weed. But then it was just like, so she didn't even.
And she considered it a drug.
When she was in Massachusetts, she didn't consider it a drug. She was wearing a dispensary hat, like, and a dispensary shirt.
saying that you don't think it's a drug. You can recognize it's a drug. It's still.
But I
supported.
asked her if she does drugs in Massachusetts, and do you do drugs? And she goes, absolutely not. And then once she realized that we were talking about, then in California, then all of a sudden cannabis became a drug. But it wasn't a drug until all of a sudden we were in California, and she realized what I was asking her about. So that was
Didn't the laws change? So like when you two were in California, right?
It was legal. Everything was super legal, and everything was super legal. Everything we did was legal, and that was like even the things there. I mean, that was the people went through great lengths to make sure that everything, like even actually the guy that I was with that was selling large amounts, he had a ton of cards down in Los Angeles. It was all just going there.
But Brace, stay with me for a second. Okay. Recreation. Okay. So when did this happen?
When did
what year?
Happen?
What year did you and Sam meet?
Oh, Massachusetts was just becoming. Well, we were out there 2012, 2011, maybe, and yeah. Well, the medical. That's what I'm saying. We had medical cards. We got our medical cards. My daughter had a medical card, and that was actually with the extraction.
I think you can still classify it as a drug until it's not recreationally. Okay, and even when it is,
my daughter. I gave it to my daughter. I treated seizure disorders with cannabis oil.
Yeah. Okay.
So you're gonna have a hard time teaching me that it's poison when it helps save my daughter's life.
That's not what we're doing. Let's stay out on one thing at a time. So we are trying to talk about.
So you're saying I sold some medicine, and I'm a drug dealer because I sold some medicine. I mean, come on now.
I'm saying let's look at your legal argument here. Okay, let's just sit down and breathe.
And this is even assuming I don't even remember selling any. I mean, I didn't.
Okay, so let's have Henry pull up the Massachusetts definition of defamation, because here's the problem. I think that it is you could say that the word drug dealer is maybe a shade of gray, isn't as defined as definitively as you want. However, to say that she lied about you, to say that when she did have a basis for that claim, right? You did sell hash, whether or not hash is a drug, whether or not you selling hash from time to time as your non-primary business makes you a drug dealer. Yeah, if you could pull up like a web page, that would be
I don't even remember selling any cannabis. I mean, it wasn't I sold equipment, and that's the thing. Like, okay, so the way I looked at it is during the gold rush, the people that sold shovels made more money than the people that sold gold. And I would make, I could make, when I sold machines, I was making $3,000 or more, just off of, per every time I sold a machine. And if I did consulting work, I mean, I'd make like $1,500 or $2,000 a day. I mean, why would I sell drugs? There's just no reason. When you can end up and even poker, I'd make crazy money playing poker, and that was actually playing up on the mountain with people that sold pot. Those people were the best to play poker with. Like people that just made like a few $100,000 are the funnest to play poker with. So there was no reason for me to sell drugs. I had no, and I wasn't positioned, because I wasn't necessarily growing. But
okay. Okay, yeah. I wanted a little bit. Can you get into false and defamatory Okay, hold on.
No, I did end up. Me and Turtleboy actually had an appellate case already, and the appellate case already reversed because they decided, and they worded like in my appellate brief now that criminal allegations are defamatory per se. So you don't have to get into the nitty gritty when it's dealing with criminal allegations.
Okay. So she did say the problem is that the statement must be false, and it can't be like an opinion. It has to be a fact. And the problem is, we could exit out of this, Henry. And the problem is that I'm just worried that she did in fact feel like you were acting as a drug dealer, and I like convince me that you weren't. You sold cash. Like
No,
if
I
I
didn't
were
say that. I don't remember. I don't know. I mean, my
So-
buddy,
you
he
some
sold a
sort of
lot down to Los Angeles, but I didn't necessarily. I mean, I didn't grow. I smoked a lot. I smoked like more than a pound a month.
not a
So it
winning.
was.
I'm-
Well,
I'm
that's the truth.
Okay, but we're talking. I'm trying to say you're suing Turtleboy for defamation. You call Sam Carden as a witness.
I was working on a
prove
music festival.
that the statement that she made that Aidan copied, and you
Well, okay.
call the exact same declarant as your witness to say that that statement is in fact false.
Well,
But
the
she
other thing that what I really called her for, I guess, was to prove that she was not a reliable witness. And I guess we can get into if we go back to that video.
But you would see how that wouldn't be Turtleboy wouldn't be negligent then. He'd be relying on what he would think is a credible source that he vetted, that he had seen evidence from her.
What evidence?
So for instance, the bruises on her face and on her arm.
I thought you were saying a drug dealer, would it?
So he had seen evidence of her story, right? So you
I
would
think
have
we
to
should get into. We wanted to play. Maybe we should play that video because let's get into how ridiculous her story is, and then we can.
I just want to show that for that statement, you would have to prove that he was acting negligently in that statement. Okay, can we continue playing that video? And using you would have to show that he was acting negligently in using that statement. And even when he quotes her, he says, "A woman said that Sam said that he sold drugs." He didn't even say, "I personally know for a fact." That he may have later said that everything she said was fact, but that could be strewn as his opinion. But let's go ahead.
We had several recorded phone calls, correct?
Yes.
Now I'm gonna. You don't technically. I'll warn you that because you don't have an attorney, that you don't have to answer this. But did the Fifth Amendment attorney at the date of the trial when you pled the fifth, did he hand you the recorded phone calls or show you the transcript of the recorded phone calls from me and you from the jail?
I don't recall that. I don't recall the phone call scripts, no.
Okay. Do you mind?
I do remember pleading the fifth and that whole thing, but
Okay. Do you mind sharing what he ended up showing you that day?
Can we pause it there? How would you know what her attorney showed her?
Because it's the Fifth Amendment attorney, and the Fifth Amendment attorney, he was given the evidence that we gave the DA, and that was so. It was all the same evidence that the DA got, and that was the point of the Fifth Amendment attorney, is to look through it because it appeared as if she was lying, and so that was the whole point. Is that the Fifth Amendment attorney was just to let her know, like, hey, you probably shouldn't commit perjury. Yeah.
What was it that she was lying about?
Trying to frame me. And that's what this video goes into. That's the so like Turtleboy's story, which we kind of chopped it up, but he ended up saying, oh, well, she was saying that he was a drug dealer. Well, the reason why she claimed I was a drug dealer is just so that she could make an excuse for why she pled the fifth. If she were to tell him the truth, then he would have attacked her like he attacks everyone else.
So her reason for pleading the fifth, right? What she says her reason is she said she was really excited to testify against you. But then that morning, you texted her saying that if she testified against you.
I did not. When did she say that? We had a deposition and she did not say that. I asked her during the deposition. Let's play it.
Play the rest of the video.
Yeah. Why do we keep stopping?
Well, because I just want to say she saying that you called.
When did she say that?
on Turtleboy Live, on the video that you take clips from here, she said that you called or texted her the day of the hearing and told her that if she testified, you would testify that she also used drugs and therefore she would lose custody of her child.
I did not contact her. This is 0% chance I would have contacted her. I wanted nothing to do with her. All I wanted was for the case to be over. I wanted the case to be over 6 months earlier, a year earlier. I wanted the case over. The last thing I want to do is contact her, and it doesn't make sense. And I asked her in the video. I don't know why we keep stopping the video. In the video,
Okay,
I asked.
Let's play the rest of the video. I'm sorry. I don't mean to interrupt it. I really
It's like the whole video doesn't even make sense at this point, but we can.
You want to start from the beginning?
No, you can play it.
That made you decide.
I literally don't remember.
Okay.
I don't remember. I know I was scared to testify, so I decided to plead the fifth.
But you don't remember what he showed you that made you want to plead the fifth.
No, I don't.
You
So,
remember,
so the point there is just, just because we broke up, just to remind, is that, she knew 10 minutes earlier that the point of her being here was to prove I was a drug dealer. So if she did get that text message saying that I would do that, then it would be perfect for her to mention it right now. There'd be no reason for her not to mention it. If
it
that
was a
did.
phone call, she wouldn't have that evidence.
She doesn't need the evidence to tell during a deposition. And the reality is there's no, at this point, all the statute of limitations are up. So she could end up, even if we had, tons of drugs, she could end up admitting it all now too.
Also, that phone call is not probative evidence that you were a drug dealer. That phone call would be probative evidence that you interfered with a judicial proceeding.
No, because you said that I was going to accuse her of having drugs. The whole point of this deposition was to prove that I was a drug dealer. If I was going to try to accuse her of drugs, that would have been perfect time to mention that.
Well, no, because the deposition is to prove that you were a drug dealer, not that you were messing with your with a witness during your criminal proceeding.
Well, I specifically asked her why she was scared, and she did not say whatever the heck you're saying.
Okay, let's try really hard to let each other finish each other's sentences. I know I'm pretty bad at interrupting some people sometimes, but I'm making it an effort to not interrupt. So let's try to do the same for each other. Okay, you want to play the rest of the video? Oh, and do you have an active case over this right now?
Yeah, well, we have the appeal.
The appeal is over the defamatory statements.
Yeah.
Okay, let's finish this and then we could go look at your appeal because we also have your appeal.
On Facebook that morning saying that you were excited to testify?
Oh, I probably did. Yeah. I don't remember that again, though. No, it's all a blur.
Okay.
I'm sure I was very, very excited to testify, though, so I probably did.
The scared to be testified. I mean, she said on her Facebook that she was excited to testify that day. When she showed up to court, it was a lawyer that showed her evidence that proved that she was guilty or that she was trying to frame me. And that's what actually made her plead the fifth. And I asked her at the deposition, what did the lawyer show you or whatnot? And she said she didn't remember. And earlier in the deposition, she knew the reason why she was there was to try to prove that I was a drug dealer. So if it did go down the way
you beat her up,
you
beat her up and killed her dog.
Then
you beat her up and killed her dog, right?
She should have said that then.
The dog was.
Pause. You keep making the same points that deposition was there to prove that you were a drug dealer, and therefore, if that phone call really happened, she would have mentioned it.
Or if she had any evidence.
No, literally not probative, not relevant, wouldn't even be admissible. What has literally nothing to do with the fact of whether or not you were a drug dealer is whether or not you made that phone call. That phone call has literally nothing to do with whether or not.
She had never alleged that ever. She didn't allege it in court. The phone call didn't happen. I can take a polygraph. I will give her every penny of my book if
Okay.
she could take a polygraph to anything that she says, and I'll publicly take a polygraph to everything. But yeah, we can go back.
Let's finish this video.
You said laying on the floor right after I left the house that morning.
Yeah, she couldn't walk after that. Yes.
Okay. And about what time did I leave that morning? What time did that occur?
I don't recall that as much. I want to say sometime between maybe 10 a.m. and 12 p.m.
In 2017, Samantha Cardin told the DCF worker that the incident happened right after we woke up.
The biggest problem with Samantha Cardin's version of events is the text messages showed that I had left her house that morning at around 9:30 a.m. and she didn't say anything was wrong with our dog until around 12:40 p.m. So for 3.5 hours, our dog was supposedly unable to walk, and she didn't do anything about it.
Is it possible you can confirm that you sent the messages in gray?
I mean, if it's my phone number and it's from me, then yeah. But I don't think showing screenshots when I was struggling mentally because I was being abused is going to really help your case. And again, at this point, I would just really rather get a lawyer than continue this.
Back
Sorry,
in 2017.
Pause. What are those messages meant to prove?
Well, okay, so I ended up leaving at 9:30 a.m. That was the I won't. And there's more to it, but you know, with all the drama, I don't feel, you know, necessary to show it all at the moment. But and she ends up saying, well, I guess it ended up moving. She was like, stay around, help with Lila, and she ends up saying, I'm not scared of you. And that wasn't really so much the relevance, but it was just at this point she wasn't saying anything was wrong with their dog. From 9:30 to it was actually 12:40, which was she ended up calling me actually when it was the dog thing. And I ended up having a bunch of messages after that too. Like I actually have like a ton of messages from that day. But so the point is that from 9, she told the police and she told the Department of DCF.
What time did the police come?
Later, the police. It was like 5 p.m. Is when that ended up happening, and
So
they
couldn't
caught.
it occurred after work?
Wait, what?
Couldn't you have beaten her up and killed the dog after work?
I don't even know what you're saying. Okay, so we woke up that morning, which she ends up admitting to DCF. You know, that was the way it was right when we woke up, and she was mad. I ended up saying I was scared she was going to get upset, and that's actually what set her off. It's just me saying that I was worried she's going to get upset because she often did after she drank. And then once she started freaking out, I'm like, oh, I'm out of here, whatever. What was the point of this? Okay, so that was in the morning at it was right after we woke up. Like literally, our daughter was still sleeping throughout the entire time, or at least before I left. And so yeah, I left. It was 5 minutes before I sent that message. I was 5 minutes down the road when I ended up writing that message, and that was after I left. I came back to the house about 40 minutes after I sent that first message, and I did not see our dog. I don't know anything was wrong with her. My ex was feeding our daughter sausage, or maybe cooking it and then feeding it when I left. And I talked to her dad, and we didn't, there was no talk about Luna or anything. And then it wasn't until 12:40 that all of a sudden it was, oh, Luna's having a hard time walking, rush here. And that was the biggest part with her story that just didn't make sense.
Why did you include that message?
Well, because she called. It was like she called and was just like, oh, I have other. And actually, the reason why I picked,
possible because she's claiming she was beat up. She had a hard time getting up after she was beat up, and then she was eventually able to get up and found the dog.
No, that's not what she said at all. What she said that she claims her version changes depending on what year it is, but basically, her version was that she followed me in the hallway, and then I headbutt her, ran inside, and I mean, I don't know. Well, what really happened is she was blocking me from leaving. So it's hard to even try to imagine what she was saying. I was trying to push to leave, and she admits it in the jail phone things. Oh, I didn't include that one. She
You could
did.
send anything to us right now, and we're able to play anything.
No, I don't know. I thought about it, and like it's the same with the cabinet picture. It's just not worth it to me because it's just it ends up. I don't
You should
want.
it. Why not? This is your time. Because like after our last interview, I saw you going around the community asking for more interviews, as if you didn't get everything out that you wanted to last time. So I'm trying to give you your opportunity here.
Well, no,
to
I'm
put everything on
the
table.
Turtleboy is going to get taken care of soon. And
Ooh, taken care of. How so?
then let's finish this.
Wow.
Anyways, so the I will actually I'll get into that. We'll save that bomb for the end. Where are we at with this? Okay, so the reason why I chose these messages is because these were the ones that I confirmed on the deposition. So I didn't want to show a bunch of messages that I didn't necessarily confirm. That was the reason why I chose these ones in particular. And it was just, and I mean, yeah, I mean, she's sitting there saying, "I'm not scared of you."
She's also saying that she was in an abusive relationship during the time that she wrote these messages.
That's what she ends up claiming. Yeah. I mean, but that's what she's been claiming the whole time. She ended up like the way it was like night and day. It was just 1 second. She says, "I'm an amazing father. She would never take my daughter away from me." She says, "I'm, you know, like she, actually at one point in a different message, she says, "I'm the nicest guy in the world." She was just, it was just 1 second, you know, she appreciated everything I did. All of a sudden, next second, I'm a monster. Like literally 2 weeks before this, she was just like, "Oh, I appreciate everything you do. You're amazing." And that was the other thing. I mean, I was 3,000 miles away for 4 months while we were in an abusive relationship. You know, so so she's sitting there on like 3,000 miles away with like a ton of cash, just going wild, while I'm working. I mean, she was also had our daughter, but either way, and I was working like 16-hour days, like every day for like months, and that's what you're calling an abusive relationship, because we didn't even like I don't know, we'd chat and say I love you and stuff. Like that was our whole relationship. And even when we were in California, it was always either she was working or I was working. Like that was our relationship, truthfully, is we were working all the time. I could take a polygraph for that.
How much money? You're saying that she had $250,000 to play around with during this time?
Yeah. Oh no. Well, the $250,000 came in at the end.
Okay.
So she actually she didn't have I don't know. I mean, we had some money. She had at least 10 grand or so.
Let's play the rest of the video.
I would just really rather get a lawyer than continue this.
Back in 2017, Samantha Carden said that our dog was army crawling towards her when she walked back in the house. And she said that she took our dog to the animal hospital. And at the bottom of this page, you can see when the worker asked why she did not contact the police after the incident, Samantha said that she was most worried about getting help for our dog. But that doesn't match up with the timeline where she waited 3.5 hours to report anything being wrong with her dog.
Okay. So she said that is when he smashed his head into her face. She said after that he did. So she said after he did that, he ran back into the apartment. So you guys were outside when that happened. She says
that's what she alleged, yeah. But we were at the door. It was in the kitchen door.
She thinks he ran back in to get money. She said he then left the apartment. She said when she walked back into the apartment, her dog was army crawling towards her. She said that the dog was.
Yeah, and so and earlier, like we showed, it was actually the top of that page where she said it was first thing in the morning is when I left. So she was saying first thing in the morning, which is true. It was first thing in the morning.
Why is that cut out? So like if it was first thing in the morning, that would really help your case. Like if you're trying to set a timeline, you would.
Oh, we just had it a second ago, and that was actually I have the timeline that I sent to the lawyer, and that was actually put into the defamation case that we currently are. Yeah, I think that one. Let's see. No,
said
it was
not
further back.
the top of the page is not there. So like if you're trying to establish your timeline, right, it would be really helpful for you to be like, look, here she says it was the morning, but then I can establish via text messages.
Yeah, it was. I mean, well, that would have been. I guess that's our pausing is not helping. Where it was like right before I talked about it. It was really right before this time. Just a little further back. Yeah. Yeah, it was right. Okay, there. Miss Carden reported on right when we woke up. She was flipping out, and that was
We woke up to Mr. Waters flipping out. She explained that he was upset because the night before they had gone out to dinner. While they were out, he gave her permission to have a drink. Why would okay?
It sounds ridiculous. I agree. I did not ever have to give her permission. She could drink whenever she wanted, but
said that he was mad because he couldn't drink. Why couldn't you drink?
She's just making a, that was just her random excuse.
Yeah.
What really happened was I go, oh, I'm worried about you getting upset because you drank last night. She often did get upset after drinking the next morning, and then she ended up snapping. That's what it was about. That really was.
Okay, so she said and then can you go to the next part of it? She said she followed him because he was going to take the car.
And it was the car I just bought, which is kind of also hilarious. I had both car keys when I was arrested because it was my car.
I mean, the problem is here, right? Even with the text messages, you admit that you came home after you sent the top one. So you could have come home, had this altercation with her, then she sent the middle text messages before she went inside, and then she went while she was still arguing with you as you were driving away.
But that's not her story. And so that's the thing. So that's why it all messed up.
I mean,
Is her story was, and that's why she pled the fifth. I tried to get her into DCF. I tried to get her. She pled the fifth then too. She pled the fifth in that one. And even now she's asking for a lawyer, even in this case. I mean, she's I think
the issue is more so she just doesn't want to lose custody of her child.
Well, but so but my argument, we keep chopping it around, but my argument, it's clear, was that it's just like, yeah, I did leave at 9:30, and she told the police that it was right after I left in the morning is when it happened. And we have a timeline that she was shown, and that, obviously she didn't dispute, where it ended up that I was 12:40, and our dog was weighed at like 140. I have text messages for that. So certainly the dog didn't go to the animal hospital between that time. And yeah, she told the police and she told the DCF it happened right away. So for 3.5, 4 hours, she claimed at the time that our dog was laying on the ground, and she just didn't care for 3 or 4 hours. And then all of a sudden our dog was injured, and then all of a sudden she cared. And actually, even right here, why didn't you do it? Oh, well, I was most worried about the dog, which is clearly not the case when she was texting to me about, oh, please come back, please, whatever. Yeah.
I don't know. I just feel like I haven't seen I think that what you should do is you should lay out the timeline with the evidence in its complete format.
I have if you, in the record appendix with the case, we have the timeline that I gave my lawyer at the time. And
let's pull up your case.
Okay, hold on. But this video, let's finish this video, like skipping ahead. I mean, whatever. Let's
finish the video.
Because there's more to the timeline. The timeline where she waited 3.5 hours to report anything being wrong with her dog.
We have
but
a
that
lot.
Wasn't the only problem with Samantha Carden.
We have so much more to get to, but okay, because I want to talk about what happened.
Well, let me say, fine. If you, really, we should have just played the video from the beginning and just talked about it after, because it's just like all this choppiness. It did end up kind of ruining the whole point of it. I mean, there was like even the next part, which I guess is whatever you don't want to show. The cabinet. She ended up lying about a cabinet. She told the police and she told DCF that there was no cabinet in the kitchen. And then 2022, because she knew that I had a picture of it, she ended up admitting at the deposition that there was a cabinet. And her transcribed jail phone calls, maybe let's at least go to that part. Scroll ahead.
Stop. It says she said that this is not true because they don't have any cabinets that could have fallen. That doesn't mean that you don't have any cabinets.
Correct. All right, fine. So let's go to the jail phone call.
Okay, let's just play the rest of the video.
All right, you can skip ahead to it.
Approximately 36 hours before I left that morning on New Year's Eve, me and Samantha Carden went out to dinner, and the only one home was our dog. When we came back, a big metal cabinet was on the ground, and Samantha Carden initially ended up lying about this cabinet to both the police and DCF.
Was there a cabinet in the kitchen?
Yes, the kitchen definitely had a cabinet.
Okay. Did it have a metal cabinet?
Yes.
Now, on the screen is from our transcribed jail phone calls from 2017. And I ended up saying, I think that freaking thing fell on her because I obviously didn't do anything to her. It's freaking the cabinet that fell with the glass, the broken glass. That thing must have fallen on her. If something damaged her through physical force, it wasn't me. It must have been that thing. You know what I mean? But now this part where it has a // that means there was a long pause. And at this point is when I started to realize that she might have been trying to frame me. So that's why I'm like, and actually, I don't know. I trust you. But in my head, I was realizing, oh, maybe I can't trust you. And I'm like, but I think you should tell the judge the way you feel. And at the bottom, she's like, yeah, I didn't even call the cops. Thank you for watching my presentation.
All right,
if you'd like to learn more about the wild court.
Okay. All right. So you sued Turtleboy for defamation because she claimed that you were a drug dealer, or because she claimed you killed the dog?
Initially, it was because the dog thing and the abuse or whatever. Yeah. So that's what the claim was. And the only reason why I dismissed her is because there was heavy harassment. There was all sorts of threats. Like if you look at my the appellate, I mean, they were even talking about slicing up my family down to the child on Turtleboy's website at the time. It was actually a lot more threatening back then, 2018, 2019, than it is now. At the time, it was filled with threats where it was just like every fourth one was a threat of violence in the beginning of January 2019.
Okay. Anyone watching right now, I don't want you to threaten anyone that I interview, not Ryan, not anyone. So if you're watching, don't do that. That's stupid. Anyway, okay. So why did you dropped the claim about the dog, and then now you're going after the claim about the drug dealing?
I dropped her out of it, and then the case did end up so because I didn't want to present evidence in 2019, I said it's not fair for me to present evidence under these circumstances. I felt like if I present evidence and won my case, it would just get Sam harassed, and Sam was the mother of my child. And so it was like a lose-lose situation. It was either I, destroy her life, my daughter's life, to save my reputation, or I,
So why not just drop the case completely then?
Well, because I kept thinking that the courts would eventually make it safe for me to present evidence. So that was the pursuit.
Why was it unsafe to present evidence the first time?
Because every time, like Mike Gaffney, he wrote an affidavit, and they ended up creating fabricated porn of me and him together, and ended up harassing him repeatedly with it. And that's that's a drop in the bucket compared to what they did to him. And it was all because he signed an affidavit. And so it's just so the thing is,
how would presenting evidence harm?
What if Turtleboy were to have shut down way back when because Sam was lying, and evidence were to came out, and I ended up proving that she was lying, and then I ended up winning the case. He knew it was weaponized, Colt. Like, even if you look at that video on the Facebook thing, or he in 2018, he ended up saying he knew that every time he hit publish that there was going to be a large group of people that were going to go and harass that person. So he knew that
so
every
you
time.
were afraid that if you proved that she lied, that he would attack her?
Yeah, that was the main part of it. and not him so much. But yeah, his cult, his organization, where it's just like yeah. Every time he writes about anybody, especially back then, people would get harassed really hard, and he knew it, and he says that. So it's not even like it's like a crazy thing. Like you can watch him say it during an interview, which is not hearsay; it's an exception.
Okay. Well, wait, what exception is it to hearsay?
Because it's a business, and it's something that people in the industry would find reliable information or whatever. Like it's
Business records?
basically
Business
it's just in the course of a business that
So the business, let me tell you how the business records exception applies to hearsay. So hearsay is any statement made out of court taken for the truth of the matter said. So if you had a business in which you had paperwork, most of that would be hearsay unless the business had like a regular course of doing something. For instance, if you had a gun store and you let people shoot like at your range and it was proper practice to have people sign in, that would be a business record to have someone's name on that, and that could be admitted as
I've seen interviews qualify as the exception, where they say because it's the people would know that it's reliable, or they would assume that it's reliable information. I remember reliable being a word used.
Sometimes you can use reliable hearsay in certain proceedings prior to.
It was an interview about his business, so therefore, because he was answering questions about his business, you can, and it was in an interview format. I mean, we don't have to get in the nitty gritty about hearsay.
Well,
I mean, it's kind of irrelevant.
Someone has once called me lawtistic, so I really do like to get into the nitty gritty about the law, and I think this is interesting. Now, there's a hearsay exception called statements against party opposition. So, like if you're using a statement that's against the opposite party to harm them, that could come into play. So maybe that's what it was.
Okay, fair enough.
Okay, so let's move on. So you sued Turtleboy for defamation, and in the defamation claims you said the killing of the dog, beating up of the girlfriend, and the selling of drugs, and then you dropped the
so because I didn't present evidence, the appellate court actually they did rule in his favor for those claims. But that actually, I moved to redecide those claims, and I presented a bunch of evidence, including the timeline and some of the evidence that we just seen. And Turtleboy did not oppose it. Actually, in fact, he kind of taunted me to do so. And there's case law when an issue is not really decided. Like if an issue was decided where both parties argued, then it's precluded. But the U.S. Supreme Court, I think it's like Arizona, I don't remember exactly, but they said that when the issue, whether it be default or consent or whatever, then they go, the issue's not decided. Now, usually it still would be precluded for the same issue or for the same case. But in this instance, because it was witness intimidation, which is the reason why I didn't present evidence, is the argument I'm making. And I'm saying that, and the court, unimposed motion to redecide, the court just ignored it. And there's like the heinous threats to witnesses and stuff in the case, that all that stuff could be considered fraud on the court. And so therefore, with the fraud on the court and with the fact that I didn't present the evidence way back when, there's the court could, and in my opinion should, I ended up pointing out that they could give me an option to redecide it. But I also say that I don't want to redecide it unless there's some sort of protection for witnesses, because it's still not worth it for me to redecide those claims unless there's going to be protection. Because if I can't present evidence, there's no point, and it would just a charade is not worth it. My time.
I hear what you're saying. So because he didn't respond, you felt like you could keep going, and then you changed the argument. What's the matter?
Actually, I think my battery's run low, but
Plug it in. Go get a plug.
all right. So wait, actually, so what were you saying?
No, I really want you to go find a plug. So okay, so you sued him for defamation. You didn't provide evidence, so you lost. But then you refiled. He did not show up, so you won.
No, I didn't refile. It was the appeal. I still one of the claims, the drug dealing, was reversed in my favor. So we went back to finish that claim, and I don't know. Maybe if I spoke the word.
You called Sam as a witness to say that go find your plug before you die. And I still want to talk about not only your upcoming cases with Turtleboy, but also what happened last stream.
All right.
You're all plugged in.
Yeah. So in September, the case, I don't know what's up with the background. That's okay. In September 2021, give or take, the case was remanded back to the appellate court. In November, or to the Superior Court. November, I moved to attach his bank account. That's when he did the fake threat conspiracy thing. Literally the same day he was served with it. Aidan Kearney was served with a witness subpoena to show up, or not witness subpoena, short order notice to appear for the bank account. But he, where am I going with this? The bank account, he ended up winning that motion, no explanation. That's a common theme that I got. And that's actually the other thing. I mean, the courts, they just consistently no explanation. It's always
how many cases have you filed against Aidan?
2. Well, lawsuits 2.
2 lawsuits. How many times have you gone through the appeals process on the first lawsuit?
Including the Supreme Judicial Court, then it would end up being 5 times actually. There was because I showed up.
On the second lawsuit? What about on the second lawsuit?
The second lawsuit, we appealed up to the Supreme Court. But.
Okay. All right. So first of all, let's pull up your appellate brief. Yes. Henry will do that. Henry is a magician. He knows how to pull things out of thin air. That is why I like to work with him. There we go. Okay, so this is yours, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so you state statement of issues. So whether it was abuse of discretion for the Superior Court to conclusory deny an unopposed request for Rule 65B2 consolidation.
Which is basically summary judgment.
Okay, so what do you need in order to win a summary judgment? Do you know?
To show that the other party cannot win at trial, that they are not able to satisfy their burden at trial, so therefore you win as a right of law. At least, and it can be done for liability, which is why I wanted it.
Likely to win, or is it that they literally presented no facts to their side?
That they are unable to satisfy their burden. It gets into that a little bit in a minute. On the when we get into the standard.
So, are you saying that Aidan didn't provide any facts to the contrary?
None.
He provided no evidence.
Not the motion went unopposed. Yeah. And even earlier, actually, we go down, even earlier, at the attachment motion, even then, he didn't end up presenting
So
specific
you
facts.
can have, so if, just because it goes unopposed, then they can have the clerk put in saying that you, I'm pretty sure they can't do everything unopposed. They would still have to notify him, and then he would have.
Oh yeah, he was notified. I probably have email receipts for it all.
So what did you win?
Huh?
So you said
what was reversed? It was the that I sold drugs. That was reversed. The idea that because he didn't present any evidence that I sold drugs, so therefore criminal allegations are defamatory per se. So that was reversed.
okay, but in evidence was that he relied on Sam's statement, correct?
It's too bad I don't have the record appendix too. But as I end up noting, she ends up in her affidavit. She ended up signing an affidavit, but all her affidavit says is I have firsthand knowledge that he sold drugs in California. But she's not a law enforcement officer. So if she says that she thinks that she has evidence of drug dealing, it really doesn't mean anything. It's just like I could say, I think, you're embezzling something. And it's just like, because I'm not an expert in that, it doesn't really matter. And
yeah, that's a lay person's opinion. So for instance, I could say, I think that you're drunk. And that is an opinion that I can make as a layperson and a non-expert witness.
Yeah.
And I could say I saw him deal drugs. I could say that as a lay person and a non-expert witness who doesn't know who's not an expert in drug dealing.
Sure. But that's where they end up. So what it requires, though, is specific facts. And so to say you're a drug dealer is not a specific fact. Okay, if you were to say you sold cocaine, I mean, that's closer to a specific fact. If you were to say he were to ship it every Thursday, or he were to send me to, the whatever, that would all be specific facts. But to just say, oh, I think that he's a drug dealer, is not a specific fact.
Okay, but he relied on Sam Cardin's statement. So you would have to show negligence. You'd have to show that beyond.
Burden of proof is on him.
You're the plaintiff.
No, burden of truth is on him. We cover that in a bit. You go down to liability is real short. The liability section's real short.
The burden of truth. So once you're accused of defamation, right, you can use the defense of truthfulness as your truth, and then the burden of proving truthfulness is on him. But wait, don't go all the way down there. Can you go back to where you were? And I actually want to do the side-by-side view that we talked about earlier, and bring up and leave it right there. Statement of case, and then also bring up the other statement of case. So I want to show you. I got a sample case ready for this interview tonight because I wanted to talk about the statement of case here. Now, I'm not an attorney. I graduated law school, but I'm not licensed or anything like that. But I'm pretty sure that statement of case is just supposed to be what happened in your judicial proceedings, right?
Mostly, yeah. That's relevant to the case, yeah. The relevant procedure to the case.
Okay, so we're waiting for the side-by-side view, but I'm going to show you, because usually when someone's asking for just like the procedural history, what they're asking for is, first we went to trial court, and then the defendant won, or sorry, the plaintiff won in trial court, and then we went to, hold on one second. There we go. He's going to scroll it down to statements of case in both of those. Yeah, give us a second here.
Hey, man, I'm pro se too, so.
Yeah, no, I hear you. Okay, so you see statements of case. So they say they were charged with this, and keep scrolling down a little bit. Oh, no, go back
that's
up.
Statement of facts.
Okay, right there. Just that one paragraph. You see how short that is? And then
Oh, yeah.
scroll on the one on the right. Oh, no, perfect.
But I've
So you see how they're just saying, this is, first we went to court. Then we filed this pretrial motion. The motion was denied. Then we went to this court and this was denied. They're not saying anything that happened. They're literally
right away it says whatever we're charged with possession of marijuana.
Right. So that's the procedural history. First they were charged. Then they filed the pretrial motion. Then the motion was denied. Then they requested the jury instructions. Now let's go to yours. See how you say Kearney wrote a book falsely accused of selling and shipping drugs.
Yeah, that's what the case is about.
That's not a statement of that's a statement of fact.
Yeah.
But
part of the case.
There's okay, but you see how their statement of case on the left on it.
He's charged with marijuana.
Okay.
So I'm explaining that's what the so you're. I mean, hey, if it, I guess I could back it up where I could say I sued him for defamation. The appellate court reversed in my favor. But I still end up saying if I don't say what the claim is, I mean that's what the claim is.
Now let's go to their statement of facts versus your statement of facts. Because I'm trying to get to you to the point why the court, see how long your statement of the case is so long and it has quotes and stuff and it has a bunch. So there's might be a reason why these courts are summarily denying you. It might be because of the way. So now you have a statement of facts, and it's just a bunch of quotes. You're not giving them the story. So this is where the judge,
that was random. Okay, yeah, that was random.
This is where the judge goes to figure out what is happening in the case.
Well, okay, so that was. I mean, that one is just pretty potent. Where I guess I should have explained that he ended up saying that on whatever date, and maybe I will actually. They didn't even end up. I still have time to fix it. But no, right in this next section, yeah, that I end up starting it normal facts. Kearney published articles before, and my facts section is actually pretty short on that.
Right, but your facts section isn't necessarily supposed to be short. Your facts section is giving all of the facts of what happens. Like this is your time to explain in layman's terms. This is what happened. Not even talking about the case.
But my case is that easy. That's the thing, and that's where I was able to, as far as like the facts is, it's facts that were in your statement of case. You don't need to put in the statement of facts. So it says it in the rules.
Right, because the statement of case is supposed to be like the procedural history, so you don't need to read.
Well, whatever. I mean, that's your opinion. My opinion is you state the case. So my opinion is that you tell them what the case is about and the procedural history. I don't know. I'm pretty sure that's what it says to do. And
we are both equally attorneys because we are both not attorneys. So so maybe you're right and I'm wrong. Who knows? Anyway, I want to talk about something.
Well, hold on. Actually, you're like, you show the most randomest thing. You're like, well, maybe it's this is the reason why they don't like it. Why don't we go down to the liability section? You're like, you're spitballing about the defamation when you could just go down to the liability section and it's like this long. And I end up showing that he's guilty beyond a doubt.
It's not about that. It's about if you file something improperly in the court, the first thing they do on the very first page is, I don't understand what's happening here. I'm supposed to get a procedural history. Instead, I'm seeing a bunch of facts. Let me go to the facts section, see if there's a procedural. Okay, there's no procedural history here. So I could see a court saying, this is done incorrectly. I don't have to read what's done if it's not filed correctly. Well, no.
I mean, this is all your random opinion, and that you showed one random case. I mean, you can end up. I've seen cases with the ACLU where they have 50 pages for a statement of the case. Literally. I'm not even joking. That's real. But
in a case, maybe that's because the case has an extremely long procedural history.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. Like, so that's my statement of case. I covered 3 issues. There was 3 issues that I was addressing, which is a lot. They actually only like you to deal with 1 or 2. So dealing with 3 issues, I had a big case to explain. I had a lot to explain on why I was arguing that. So that's why it ended up being long.
Is just the history of the case throughout the court. So by procedural
The
history,
section was not procedural history. The section was statement of the case.
Statement of case and procedural history are the same thing. Statement of case means procedural history.
I disagree. I say that statement of procedural history is a square, and statement of is a rectangle.
Henry's going to pull up the website from Massachusetts that I sent to him, where it says what the steps are to write an appellate brief.
But okay, so and then after that, we should go to the liability section, and the I mean, at a very least, the liability section and the damages, because those 2 sections, I mean, that's what the case is mostly about. And it's pretty clear cut.
Let's scroll down. So let's go to the statement of case. So formatting, keep going. Content stops. Keep going. Stop. The statement of case is a procedural history.
Okay.
What happened to your case? It must have page references to record appendix or transcript. The appellee's brief is not required to contain statements of the case unless the appellee is dissatisfied with the statement of the appellant. So statement of the case is apparently not even a required section, but if you're going to put it, it is literally
it's not required for an appellee.
The procedural history
of what happened to your case. Okay, yeah, fair enough.
Okay. So I think that might be, I don't think that these judges are biased against you. It's just that even as a pro se
what part of it you're saying, because I opened up with saying that the case is about him accusing me of selling drugs. That's what I opened it up. I'm just telling them what the case is. Like that's one fact.
Okay, let's go back to your brief. Let's go back to your appellate brief whenever you can. There's always I wouldn't be able to do it faster. Oh, I'm feeling good. I'm feeling loose. I missed my yoga today. I'll go tomorrow.
Oh, too bad.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay, so let's look at just yours.
Statement of facts.
Okay, so so
no, the statement of facts is kind of random, but
I want to go to the statements of the case, which is above this a little bit. Okay, keep going.
So that's a lot of it is talking about what happened during the hearing.
Falsely accusing me of selling and shipping drugs. That is not procedural history.
Whatever.
I filed an unopposed motion rule. Okay, that could be procedural history. There we go. Aidan Kearney never satisfied the burden of truth or any other defense by presenting any specific facts indicating that I could be a drug dealer. So that is non-procedural history. Saying maybe, Aidan lost would be procedural history, but
saying that he went unopposed. You're saying I should just say Aidan Kearney did not file a response to my motion. You would like it better if I wrote it that way instead.
So once again, I'm not an attorney, so I can't give you legal advice, but probably what I would say is I filed. So first I would probably start with the case, how it started. So first I filed a defamation case against Aidan Kearney. I lost, and then I took it up to the appellate court, and the appellate court overruled on these grounds, and then that would be done with my statement of case.
Yeah. Okay.
So
you'll do a great job. I actually still like it the way it is, because I mean, me saying Aidan Kearney never satisfied the burden of truth or any other defense by presenting any specific facts. So I'm saying that I had the motion for the Rule 65B2, and he did not proceed by presenting any facts. So I could have just left it unopposed. You're right, but I kind of I'm pro
Or-
se, so I could get away with this.
Okay,
And I'm giving
tell-
good information.
I'm telling you that these are not procedural history statements. Okay? So that's not my opinion. That's the truth. Like, Kearney wrote a book, not a procedural history. Aidan Kearney never satisfied the burden, not procedural history. I filed a motion, procedural history, perfect.
I don't
Let's
know. Never satisfied a burden. That's, in my opinion. I mean, it's arguably procedural history because he did not proceed. He did not proceed in any way, shape, or form.
Okay,
to the
so
motion.
then the procedural history would be what the court did. So, like, first you filed a motion, and then the court.
No, if he filed an opposition, that would be procedure, right? So him not filing an opposition is also procedure. It's the same thing. I mean, it's inaction is the same as
Let's
action.
slow down a little bit so that we can see the next paragraph. Okay. I argued with support that the court should allow consolidation because first, this is a 2018 case and the record is complete for liability and right for review. Second, so this is an argument. You see how this is like your argument?
Those
Like
are the arguments I made. Yeah.
This is the wrong place to put this.
Okay. I'll take your advice. I'll relook at it.
Okay. So do you think that you're getting do you think you keep losing because the judges are biased against you?
It all depends on the situation. But you still you're not even looking at the meat. I mean, if you there's a table of contents right at the very beginning, and the table of contents ends up having the paragraphs all set out where you got the standard, and then right after the legal standard, you got each section where it's just
the reason that I'm not looking at the meat, right, is because I ordered a cheeseburger. And when I get a cheeseburger, typically I expect to be looking at the meat right between buns, right? Because that's the way that cheeseburgers are made. But when I got the cheeseburger, I got the bun over here. I got one bun across the room. The meat is on the ceiling. And I'm just looking at my hands like, what the fuck? And you're like, you're not even looking at the meat. Yeah, because it's in the wrong spot. The meat
what
is
do you
not.
mean? No, the likelihood of success for liability is right in the right spot.
The
And
meat
so
is supposed to be between the buns, and your meat is like on the ceiling. It's not even on the plate.
I mean, you're doing a good job at trying to make it look crazy, but you only showed like 2 little paragraphs. You compared it to some random case. I mean, it's just like it's apples and oranges, and you're not even getting to the important part. You go to likelihood of success of liability, which is the most important part, and it takes less than a page to show that he has 0% chance. And likelihood of success of damages, again, very short, and it shows he has 0% chance. And then he's in default. So he can't even make an option even if he wants to. Even if he can think of an argument, he's not even allowed to make it. And the court's decision, so that's it. You say, I think I'm biased. Well, the court's decision has no argument at all.
Just talk you and I. Let's get out of this. Okay. It's getting late. So I want to ask you about what happened last time.
Well, hold on. What I mean, so the whole point of that is you were like, oh, let me show your brief, but let me show the beginning and then say that I think that your beginning is funky. But it's just like literally, it's like this big, like less than a half a page, and it says that there's a 0% chance that he could win.
I want to talk to you again after it's concluded. Okay, let's talk again later. Okay. But right now, I do want to ask you about what happened last time we spoke, because that's on everybody's mind.
I don't know. I mean, I think it was. I think that whole situation of what you just did was kind of, stupid. Where it's just like, why are you going to sit there and nitpick about? Oh, let me show this random lawsuit which has nothing to do with anything, and and literally in less than it's like 6 sentences, and I show that he has a 0% chance of winning. And so it's just like, so you're like, oh, well, they're going to nitpick here. I don't think so. I mean, he can't even make an argument.
I will show you.
So what happened? What happened last time is a cute little innocent girl came up and gave me a hug. And I ended up pushing her away. because Turtleboy likes to threaten kids, and he likes to say that you know, like I sent you that the screenshot from his thing where he says the best way to win lawsuits is to go after the person's family. And he talks about, you know, he says heinous things with kids all the time. He talks about kids in sexual situations way too often for my, you know, for what I think is appropriate. He even talked about Kate Peters' kids doing things. He got pretty explicit in that.
He did was he read a report that said something. But anyway, not talking about
it's not the type of thing I like to talk about, but that's the thing is he likes to talk about that stuff, and that ends up making it that no, I don't feel comfortable talking about a kid with a guy who threatens to rape kids and stuff.
How old is this child?
It doesn't matter. I have no incentive.
Okay, so we're gonna play the video just so people know what we're doing.
Why don't you? I mean, whatever.
So okay, stop. So how old is that child?
Doesn't matter.
It does matter.
Why?
Well, can you just give us like an estimate? Do you not know?
I don't know. I have no idea.
You have no idea how old. How do you know this little girl then? Why? What if she's like 5 and she's coming into your room?
What are you talking about?
You're saying you don't know how old she is.
I'm saying I'm not going to cooperate because I just told you Aidan Kearney brags about raping. I got a video of him bragging about raping my daughter. The last thing I'm going to do is try to identify this little girl so that he can try to harass her. I'm actually okay. So let's go on to what I'm going to do about him. You know, hey, let's you know how that's going to go is and it's actually because of that kid. Because of that kid is how that's going to end up is where this is going to get intense. Is what I'm going to end up doing is I'm going to start releasing powerful secrets, provocative ones, one at a time, not ones that will no, it's going to be pretty huge.
So are you going to sue Aidan over this girl falling?
No, maybe. Maybe.
That's going to be the cause of action.
But I possibly not, probably not, because the big causes of action, you can watch the video on the my thing, 42/1985 witness intimidation of a federal proceeding. All you have to prove is that you were a party or a witness and somebody was trying to harass you because you were a party or a potential witness in a federal case, or conspiring. They conspired to end up doing whatever. And so like
after the last time we spoke, immediately you asked me to take down that video of that girl, correct?
Oh yeah.
Okay. And I have told you that I would take down that video of that girl. All you had to do was prove that that girl existed and wanted the video down. And I gave you options on how to do that. You could have had her parent call me. You could have had a picture.
And I'll do that once Turtleboy's taken care of. But that's yeah.
Okay, if you cared about this girl and she existed and you didn't want this like going around, why wouldn't you just let me talk to her parent so that I know that this person existed and that she was safe, and then so that I could take down the video? Because I
don't believe you. I don't see her incentive, and I don't believe you. I think that she obviously looks like a little kid, and I think you're just trying to identify her so that you can harass her.
Let's play that again and tell me that. And also, my dog keeps. I'm going to grab him really quick.
I honestly think that you're just trying to identify her so that you can harass her. I honestly think that's the only incentive. And that's and I don't get it. What you're like, oh well, you can do. What am I going to gain out of this? Like I'm willing to, as I said, like I'm about to tell people how people can do stuff with 0% risk. I'm going to give people the best of the best until I get justice.
Okay, stop. So you elbow her.
Yeah, because I didn't want Turtleboy to see her.
Okay, let's stop. So
an elbow. It wasn't a heavy push. I just pushed her out of the way.
Look, that doesn't look like a girl running up to hug you. It just doesn't.
Well, I disagree.
Okay, her eyes are closed.
Yeah, she went up to hug me and she closed her eyes as she went up to hug me. She was sleeping. She went downstairs to go to the bathroom.
How old? Okay, how old is this girl supposed to be?
You know, I'm just gonna start referring to her as Turtleboy's wife. I'm done with this. I would rather tell the world, I would rather release cartel secrets until Aidan Kearney is dead than talk about that girl anymore. So I think we should move on.
Okay. The problem is that looks like either a woman who passed out or someone who is deceased.
No, you're just lying. You're just saying that just so that you can identify her. And I'm done with this. I'm done with this.
Okay.
You couldn't, and this whole thing, I mean, this is like, it was a scam. You sat there, you're just like, oh, the video, we jumped around, we couldn't even play it. And then you sit there, you go to my complaint, you show the top, you're like apples and oranges, like, oh, well, this other complaint doesn't look like yours, blah, blah, blah. So, but you didn't go anywhere where it mattered. Like, I mean, there's like 3 little sites. I mean, basically everything else matters. And the beginning isn't even that.
The problem with the story that was a young girl coming to hug you is, one, it seems odd that you would be living with a young child in the first place. Second, it seems odd that young child, a female young child, would feel comfortable, because at that time is what, 1 a.m. your time?
She would feel comfortable giving me a hug. Yeah, she likes me. And who says I live there? How do you know I live there? How do you know it's not my cousin? How do you know it's not my whatever? Like, I mean, you're just like, no, I'm not going to identify her. I'm done with that. There's no point.
I want you to identify her. There is no way anyone's going to be able to identify this person based off you giving us an age. Okay? There's no way.
I don't know how. I'm not sure how old Aidan Kearney's wife is. Maybe she's like 38. But yeah, she was real sweet. I had a real nice time with her. That's where we're going with this. Either we're changing the topic or we're going to refer to her as Aidan's wife. I'm done with this. I'm not going to play your game. I get what you're doing. You just want to identify her, and that's the whole point. And I have no incentive. I have no incentive.
Why do I want to identify her? What purpose do I have? Why?
Because you're with Turtleboy. Well, why do you even care? Why do you want to talk to why do you want to talk to her parents or whatever?
What appears to be a dead body or a sex doll or
that makes a lot of sense.
Or a drunk woman appears to fall on top of you in the middle of the conversation in which we're having, and your excuse that it's a child doesn't make it much better, considering it was supposed to be what, 1 a.m. your time. So here's why.
So you're saying you've never seen a kid wake up in the middle of the night to go pee?
I've never seen a child run into a grown man's room who is not her father.
Who said I was in the room? Who says I was at my house? Who says I was at a room at my house? Who says any of this? How do you know any of this? Like, you're just like making all these weird assumptions.
Just out in the open. Were you sleeping?
Turtleboy's wife, yeah, Turtleboy's wife. She came over. We had a great night. It was real fun.
The story makes sense. Okay, were you sleeping in the basement or something?
I tell you what, you go to the section of my lawsuit, and you end up showing that Turtleboy has no chance, and then maybe we'll think more. That's my point. Like,
let's go back to the appellate brief, please, and I will let you tell us where to point on the appellate brief, and let's go back through that again, okay? And you tell me exactly where to look, and then I expect you to give me all the.
No, I'm still not going to talk about that girl. There's no incentive, so it's whatever. I guess it is what it is, Lauren. Me and you do not see eye and eye. Like, that's the thing. No, literally, Turtleboy is making me poverty where I would be making $10,000 a month. I'd be making $10,000 a month if it wasn't for him, right? So that's the way I look at it. Is he's costing me over $100,000 a year, and it's just like, how much do I love him? You know,
you said like,
how much do I love him? That is he really worth $10,000 a month? You know, like I don't know. I'm not sure I love him that much. You know,
How
like it's
is he costing you $10,000 a month?
because he said in 2019 he'd harass anyone that I worked for or whatever, anybody I worked with. So therefore I can't end up pursuing my business until he goes to jail or somehow stops attacking me or whatever.
So you're not going to attempt to get a paying job until Turtleboy stops.
Well, no, it's not even like that. I mean, it's just like, okay, it's not, I have no interest in making $15 an hour. I would rather go to Mexico, and because I'd be making 10,000 a month if he were to disappear. You know, if he were to stop attacking me, I could make 10 grand a month.
What would you do to make 10 grand a month?
I mean, at a minimum, I could end up running an extraction lab or whatever, anywhere.
Why can't you do that right now?
If he were to find out, he would end up harassing them. And then it's also, that's like the first thing, whenever you're doing any job where you're making more than 60 grand, it's called due diligence, where the first thing they have to do is check into you and see to make sure you're not like a liability of some sort. And you type in my name and the first thing you see is Turtleboy Sports or whatever. So that's just so until I end up getting a fair opportunity to present evidence and end up telling my side, then yeah, I'm pretty much barred from anything reasonable. No, but the beautiful thing is that because I know a lot of powerful people, I don't have to keep playing these games, and I'm done with it. And that's the reality. That's what we're about to end up getting into soon. Is I'm just going to keep raising the heat until something's going to end up having to happen. One way or another, I'm going to start making good money again. And
so you're saying you're not able to get a job because you're unwilling to get a job that doesn't pay 10 grand a month, and you would be able to
no,
get let me finish my sentence. I let you finish yours. And you would get a job that paid 10 grand a month, but for the Aidan Kearney articles, and therefore you will spend your time continually suing Aidan Kearney until those articles are gone or until he's in prison.
Well, that's how it's become. That's not how it started. But that's but yeah, no, he just kept attacking. And he also said that he's going to keep attacking. He said that once the cases are over, he's going to attack even harder. He said he'll never stop. He's made that very clear several times. So that's the other part of it. Oh, wait, what?
Well, have you noticed that, like, for instance, stories that don't have a continual thing, he doesn't continue to write about the person. So, for instance, young lad who made love to the horse, continued to make fun of that.
Okay. But see, and the other thing is I didn't do the X thing, and that was just so, and I never got to present evidence. So that was just that's another big thing too, is it's just like I would rather die and get to present my evidence before I die than just never present my evidence. And I'm kind of frustrated, but whatever. I'll release a better video soon. I'll touch that video up and play it in full, and I guess I'll get my word out then. But I don't know.
Why wouldn't you have, switching back, why wouldn't you have that girl's parents call me and say, hey, that's my daughter. I'm livid that you have
because I don't want you to identify her, and it's just not worth it to me.
How would that help me identify?
I don't see why you would want to do it unless that's your goal. To me, it just doesn't make sense. Any of it. I mean, right away, why did you not believe me in the first place? I mean, I'm not a liar.
Because we could watch the video and it does not appear to be a child. If anything, it's a ferret.
To me, it's obvious. But whatever. I guess
Okay, let's watch the video one more time.
What the heck? You can't even go to my appellate brief, but you're gonna keep playing.
We went to your appellate. Okay, let's go to your
appellate. You only went to like one little section. You were like, let's compare it to some other random lawsuit that was like some like criminal case. Let's compare a criminal case to like the civil case, and let's see if there's any difference. And like you just
tell Henry when to stop scrolling. I'm gonna let my dog out to pee.
All right. Well, I guess we can go all the way down to page 10. Or even the direct response to 7. I don't know. Either way, at the argument. All right. So argument. Boom. Let's see. He said that so the court misrepresented my things where he said that I said I had no witnesses and that I was unable to do my damages. But as first off, the court knew, and that's like, as you can scroll down slow. It says, first off, the court knew I was too preoccupied with his unintelligible approval. And that's where I ended up asking, which that's at the bottom of the.
Hold on. Okay, so the court says that you were unable to articulate your damages and that you brought no witnesses. And so you reply by saying the court knew that you were too preoccupied with his unintelligible approval of heinous.
Yes, I ended up, which I guess that was in the facts. And I guess we did end up skipping the facts section. But in I ended up telling the court, or the statement of the case. That was part of the statement of the case. I ended up he ended up approving of all of Turtleboy's threats and misconduct, all of it. The saying, Chrissy, I'm going to make you want to commit suicide. I'm going to contact all your employees, or not employees, customers, or whatever. And he approved of all that stuff. But he didn't, without any intelligible reason. And I ended up saying that it affected my adjustment disorder, which is the adjustment disorder causes preoccupation. And I'm saying that I'm not going to be able to think about matters unrelated unless I get an intelligible reason for why those threats are appropriate. And you
can't be too preoccupied to answer the court's pertinent questions.
Well, it's a medical thing, though, and that's the point. Is that there's that's at the end where there's Massachusetts Article 114, which says you have the right to reasonable accommodations. If the only reason why you can't participate is because of a handicap, which in this case, the reason why I was handicapped is because the court was allowing threats without any intelligible reason. Okay. So all the court had to do is give an intelligible reason. But that's so okay. So anyway, so we can scroll the other stuff. We didn't even really need to spend too much time on this. So let's skip right down to because this was actually just responding to his dismissal. His dismissal is pretty stupid.
If you're losing $10,000 a month by wasting your time suing Turtleboy and not working, why wouldn't you just work a little bit, save up for an attorney, sue using an attorney, and then get this done quicker?
I'm about to win this case. I mean, that's okay. So let's get on to the part that we win. Well, let's skip the fluff. Let's go down to the likelihood of success. Scroll, keep going. Keep going. See the consolidation. I mean that the standard is only relevant. I mean, where it's like, yeah, the judge was supposed to look at the facts and law. In this case, the judge didn't come up with that. Look at any facts or law.
The judge erred in granting or denying requests for preliminary injunctive relief. We must look at the same factors that should have been considered by the judge in the first instance. Evaluation of these factors turns on mixed questions of facts and law. On the review of trial court's conclusions of law are subject to broad review and will be reversed if incorrect. Furthermore, while weight will be avoided to exercise discretion. Okay, what is your purpose?
They may draw their own conclusions. So this is the standard, and this is just saying that that basically the judge, because the judge didn't make any facts or law, he didn't state anything. He just said I lose because I said so. Is literally what his order basically said. The appellate court has broad review. They don't have to really even care about his decision because his decision was not based on any fact or law. Okay, so let's scroll down to where
what that paragraph is saying. So that paragraph is saying that when you're looking at things from the appellate side, you are kind of allowing to look at the law again from a more of a de novo place.
Correct, yeah.
The beginning, but you're supposed to look at the law from the way that the original trial judge did, because he was the one
the facts.
There you're supposed to look. Oh, thank you. If I said law, you're supposed to look at the facts the way the judge did. If you're saying that because the judge didn't use facts in his opinion,
exactly,
therefore the appellate court will be able to look at the facts presented.
And in this one, because it was documentary evidence and there was no oral argument. Because there was no oral argument and it was only based on the same evidence that both courts are going to see, then they can end up making their own conclusions.
Okay, all right.
But so let's scroll down to all the way down to the next section.
Mm-hmm. I thought you said it was 6 sentences.
No, yeah, well, I'm saying this is the part that's 6 sentences or whatever. All right, so liability or likelihood of success, right away, an imputation of a crime is defamatory per se, and that was our case that was decided in August 2021. And an accusation purporting to rest on hearsay is nonetheless defamatory. So that's like what you were saying, like, oh, well, she said it, and you were saying negligence, which negligence doesn't matter. The burden of the proof was on the defendants to maintain the truth defense by showing that it was true in all material respects.
The problem is, I think that okay. The burden of proof is on the defendants to maintain the truth defense by showing.
And scroll down. And then this is where I'm saying, even if they attach that affidavit, the one that was from like 6 months earlier, it still doesn't really help them. Because in Massachusetts, neither vague allegations or conclusory statements will suffice.
But even if you fail to meet your burden, so even if Kearney never responded, he doesn't have to motion in your favor on summary judgment if you fail to meet your burden as well.
Sure, but he didn't say that.
Yeah, if you fail to show negligence, right? Because you have to show.
Well, no, I don't have to. That's like it already said. It's defamatory per se. All right, so we're going to keep going down a little bit. See what the next paragraph is. Yeah, even assuming true. Yeah, it has to be specific facts for trial to introduce a triable issue, which he didn't have any specific facts. Yeah, in the absence of specific facts.
Defamatory per se doesn't make it so that you don't have to show negligence or malice if the person is famous. What defamation per se means is you don't have to show that the defamatory statement caused damages because the statement is per se going to cause damages. So, for instance, an example of defamatory per se would be like if somebody said that I had sexual relations or an STD, or so I think selling drugs can be breaking the law, can be defamation per se. That just means that I don't have to show that there's damages. So like, let's say that you claim that I got liposuction, right? And I didn't. Now that would be defamation. That wouldn't be defamation per se. However, if I could show, well, I'm a fitness instructor and I lost a lot of money because of that defamation, then that's me proving damages. I don't have to prove damages if it's a defamatory per se statement, but I still have to show that the statement was made negligently.
No, you don't. Negligence is not a word that you have to deal with in
Okay, yep, I'm wrong. You're right. My bad. Keep going.
Well, if Turtleboy had that argument, he could have presented it in court too. He certainly didn't.
No, but okay. But what I'm saying is, if you didn't meet that burden, the judge could still not
secretly decide that.
No, not secretly decide. Could still make the judgment that you didn't meet your burden for some.
But he should have made that argument, because let's say he thought that I didn't make that burden. Let's say, for instance, he missed that. Let's say the burden. Negligence really is not a burden. But let's say that he missed that the statement was about me, and so he didn't think that. Well, he should tell me, because I could prove that the statement was about me. So that's the point. Is if he's seen a weak spot, he should have notified me so that I would be able to respond to it. But
I don't-
neither Turtleboy or the court ended up responding.
Okay, so let's read this. So even assuming arguendo that the facts stated in Samantha Cardin's affidavit to be true, the affidavits must set forth facts or specific facts that introduce a triable issue. Okay. How was LSV Safety talking about Samantha Cardin?
Oh, that was just the case law. That is the summary judgment.
You threw in Samantha Cardin's name in the square brackets.
Wait, what?
You see how it's
Oh, I see what you're saying.
arguendo, the facts stated in Samantha Cardin's affidavit to be true, but then you cite LSV Safety Insurance Company. So was Samantha Cardin also involved in the LSV Safety case?
Oh, so I should have had the other circle things. No, but yeah, I see what you're saying. I could have had the other. What are they?
If you're quoting a case, you don't put in your own facts. You just leave the quote as is. Okay.
Yeah.
So now you're just citing case law, which is giving you the law that you think will help you win your case. In absence of specific supporting facts ruled by, but Samantha Cardin did say that you sold drugs, and whether or not you agree with that, those would be
Where
that would help indicate an issue in the case, a triable issue, which was
that's a specific fact. I don't know. I call a specific fact. This guy sold cannabis. I would say that's a specific fact, maybe. This guy sold cannabis on a Monday, on a Tuesday at 3:00. Those are all specific facts. Saying
that you are a drug dealer is a specific fact, which is relating to the cause of action, which is defamation, for saying that you are a drug dealer. So it's very, very probative.
I don't. It doesn't sound very specific to me. I mean, I think like I cooked dinner or I ate food today. Is that specific? I ate food.
You're saying that her facts aren't specific enough for you, but I don't.
What's the triable issue? How am I supposed to prepare for trial when I don't even know what drug I sold? I don't know if I sold crack. I don't know if I sold meth. I don't know if I sold what.
You're supposed to prepare for trial by writing out a list of inquiries to send to your opposition.
I had a deposition, but the deposition got interrupted. She started crying and said she wanted a lawyer.
Okay. And then did you set up a second deposition? And then did you file?
It's his burden, not mine.
No, not if you're trying to get more information out of her. And then if you're trying to say that her facts are not specific enough, they're saying that she set forth facts.
I pushed for a motion for essentially summary judgment, and it was his job to meet that burden. It wasn't my job to meet that burden. The burden of truth is on him. That's it.
Okay. Yes, the burden of truth as a matter of defense is on him. But first, as the plaintiff, you need to set out enough facts for you to win your case in order to win on summary judgment.
I asked her if I sold drugs or if I did drugs, and she said that. She said I smoked weed in California.
All right. So is this the paragraph that you're saying proves beyond a reasonable doubt that Aidan is guilty?
Let's see. Well, it was just mostly actually the first the paragraph right above it, where it's just like, criminal allegations are defamatory per se. Kearney's no, slightly above that. Yeah, that part where even if it was based on hearsay, it's still nonetheless defamatory. All that stuff. I never bought
negligently, yeah.
An imputation of crime is defamatory per se. Where does it say negligently? Negligently is not a word that we use.
Let's pull up the Massachusetts.
No, he didn't even file anything. It doesn't matter.
No, let's pull up the Massachusetts definition of defamation, because in the defamation elements, you have to show the statement was made either negligently, or if the person is famous, was made maliciously.
Technically in Massachusetts, even if it was true.
Right there, plaintiff, can you scroll up a little bit so that I can read? Okay, a plaintiff, no, other way. There. Other way. Keep going. Keep going. Okay. A plaintiff must also prove the defendant's fault in publishing the statement amounted to at least negligence. Right? So if you didn't meet that part right there, then the judge is going to rule summarily against you.
If that was the reason, then he should state so. But it was the case was summarily reversed, or it was reversed in my favor.
Ryan, if you did not use the word negligence at all, and you're telling me just now that you're just now finding out that it has to be done with negligence, then it's unlikely that you argued that it was negligently, and then you're missing an entire element of defamation that is required. And that's why the judge would have ruled the way he did and may have not even felt necessary.
What's defamation per se? Scroll down a little bit more.
So can you scroll down to defamation per se, please, Henry?
That's right there. Just that they don't need to prove economic loss or whatever.
So that's what I was trying to explain earlier. So you don't have to show that there's damages, but you still have to show that there was negligence. And then if the person is famous, which you might be considered, I don't know if you.
No, they didn't argue any of this. So like, even if these were good arguments, they aren't what were argued. I mean, he never literally
that if you never made the argument that he at least negligently published this.
The case was not reversed for no reason. Like they reversed it, saying that the criminal allegations are defamatory per se, and that it's standing on a different footing. They said that all I have to prove is that, and that's in Massachusetts case law, it doesn't matter if somebody else said it. If you end up, they said that like if a newspaper publishes something that somebody else made the accusation, and they don't clearly state that the person is not, innocent or until proven guilty or whatever, then they're liable, and that's why
negligent in their publishing. They still have to be negligent. So you could rely on hearsay and not be negligent.
He should make that argument. Well, actually, you can't because of issue preclusion. Okay. But
so let's. Now I've gone back to your appellate brief. I've shown the 6 sentences. I want to get to the bottom of this. So let's just talk, you and I.
Oh, you're talking about Turtleboy's wife?
Yeah. I want to talk about the girl who fell last time we spoke.
I don't know. It's just not worth it for me. That's okay. The problem.
Why won't you have, and I don't work for Aidan. I've never been paid $1 by Aidan. Speaking of, you can always go to my PayPal account if you think I'm doing a good job and drop us $1. But I've never been paid $1 by Aidan. I don't work for Aidan. I will not tell Aidan who this girl is. I will not tell Aidan Jack. Why don't you prove to me not who this girl is, but that this girl exists and that she doesn't want this video being up, or that her parents don't want this video.
See, the thing is, I have nothing to gain from it. There's no advantage to me. Like, I don't give a crap what you think about that. I came to prove
to take the video down, and I will take the video down. I'm just asking you to prove that there's a reason to.
I do not trust you at all. At all. Like, I mean, at least with that kid. I mean, that's what I want to. I mean, I have a video of Aidan Kearney protecting. There's this guy who bragged about molesting my daughter, and Aidan Kearney defended the guy and repeated his statements. And I mean, he's got so many threats with little kids. He's an obvious psychopath. I don't want him to. What?
Have I hurt anyone?
We both know that Turtleboy's going to watch every second of this video. And
but you and I have privately been talking for a while. We've been privately talking.
Well, okay, but there is a lot going on. Okay, so the things going on. So
for even a scintilla of evidence that is actually a girl, you could show me maybe where you live, the situation that would cause a girl to just run into your room and like run at you. Like, none of what you're saying about a young girl.
I tell you what, once Aidan Kearney is taken care of, I'll end up saying more. but that's it's gonna. So that's the thing is like, so right now we had those cases. The SJC of all courts ended up. They actually, I look at it. They gave me a permission slip. Like if you end up, if you're playing chess and somebody ends up sliding their queen to save their king, it ends up making it so that it puts the queen in jeopardy. And that's the way I look at this. Is that when the courts ended up, when they ended up blocking, because they did it with no, if they had an intelligible reason for approving of the crimes, then that would be one thing. And if they had an intelligible reason for saying, yeah, he can block you from working, you know, as punishment for you filing a lawsuit, then they should have said so.
How
But
does
the
he
thing,
block you from working?
because he says he'll harass anybody that I work with.
Okay. Yeah, let's ask questions from chat. Will you take questions from chat?
Sure.
Okay, let's take questions from chat. Henry had a few questions. He's the producer, so he not only gets to choose the questions, but he gets to write any questions he wants.
Define taken care of. Well, so that he's not threatening kids anymore. That he's not. That's my big issue. Is that I want to be able to present evidence, and I don't want him harming kids. And those are my big two things. And he really could end up doing that.
How is that taken care of though? Like in jail, have his website.
I actually have no control because that's like the. I mean, I can like when he ends up sending people. Basically, I'm copying him. When he ends up getting people to attack victims just by like the showing, you know, they did all these misdeeds, whatever, and he knows that his followers are weaponized, and so he just, you know, takes and as far as like whenever I have a court hearing, you know, he consistently always harassed me beforehand, knowing that, you know, people would end up threatening and whatever. And like, and the fake porn and like all that stuff, like he knows all that stuff's going to happen when he ends up publishing the articles. Why are you looking at me crazy? I mean, he knew it.
I don't think that he is orchestrating anything against anyone. I think he writes articles about people every day. I think that a lot of those people go on to lead pretty normal lives. And
I actually know multiple people that committed suicide that were on his blog, more than one. And that was
name them.
Let's see, one. I want to say it was something like Brent.
Yeah, I would be able to name.
Reddy, I want to say Brent Reddy. There was I seen like some guy. There's I don't know. There's screenshots I have of people talking about people that committed suicide from the blog.
How do you know that they commit suicide because of the blog?
Well, I'm sure it didn't help. Because it's just like the idea that all of a sudden you can't make more than $15 an hour just because some ex-school teacher ended up harassing you. Like that's something that's pretty heavy.
$15 an hour. Like I don't understand. Why can't you go on to get another degree, become a lawyer maybe? It seems like you're really interested.
Yeah, I will probably be a lawyer after this is taken care of. But it's just like no.
Where does Ryan get his legal advice?
I learned it myself. My dad was a lawyer. I don't know.
Do you ever ask your dad for help on any of this?
Never.
Your dad knows that you filed all these cases?
Wait, what?
Is your dad aware that you filed so many cases in court?
I don't know.
Well, you don't know. Have you ever spoken to your dad about these?
I've been kind of mad at him for the last few years.
How long? When was the last time you spoke to your dad?
Oh, probably like 3 years ago. I don't know.
When did you start suing?
Wait, what?
When did you start suing Turtleboy?
Well, it was around the same time. I was actually I don't know. He was down in I think when my ex actually I seen him when my ex had the she showed that I was at the border, Mexican border. That was about the last time I seen him actually, which was 2017 or whatever.
Why don't you try to rekindle a relationship with him?
Maybe after the Turtleboy case is over, sure. But see, my life, that's the preoccupation where it's just like Turtleboy is a victim of his own success, where the more he harasses me, the more I'm going to focus on him. How do you
survive? Like, how do you do your day-to-day?
I mean, well, okay, no, that's actually the other thing is, I mean, even if I had a job, I wouldn't actually tell you guys, because I don't want Turtleboy attacking it. That's the whole thing. There is some work that I can do randomly. It's not steady, but I have opportunities where I can make like $40 an hour, and I do that occasionally. But
If
it's not,
okay, I do want to know if you're high right now, but
not high enough. That
if I signed, this is a question from QCQUECEE. If I signed an NDA after this, would you be willing to tell me the girl's information so that I was legally bound to not tell anyone, including Aidan, her information? Would you tell me who she is and to prove that she's real?
I think I'm gonna have some action soon. I'm going to drop a metaphoric bomb in the near future, and that one is just going to be the metaphoric, but it's really just going to be partly a warning shot where, probably Christmas I'll drop a second one, and the second one will be.
You threatened to sue me privately, and I didn't bring that up throughout the stream. Are you planning on suing me still?
No. I do wish that this went slightly better, but I did kind of like you. I appreciate what you did. While I don't necessarily love every part of it, overall, no, I'm not going to see you.
Okay. Do you think I'm being unfair?
There, better than last time. I was a little annoyed with the way we handled the complaint and stuff, but you're okay.
Like I am trying to be honest about, who I am, like, where I stand,
I get it.
who I am, everything. And I'm trying to treat you as fairly as possible, but I'm also just trying to point out, why I think things are going the way they are going for you.
Yeah.
Specifically court cases in terms of like in the buns. The meat has to be in the bun. The meat do not.
I'll make a video and I'll show the parts that I think are important, and we'll see how it goes. What could Turtleboy do to help you drop all this and move on? Oh, okay. Well, a huge one. I told him actually this last time I would not have done a criminal case in Boston if he didn't harass that girl. That really, he knew. I told him I was going to file a criminal complaint if he harassed that girl. He harassed that girl. I filed a criminal complaint. He would actually, I think it's too much. I don't think he would do it now. He would have to completely stop attacking all witnesses. He'd completely have to stop attacking that girl.
Attacking what girl?
And I mean, the reality is that that little girl. I mean, that little girl that would definitely have to be gone. The California case, though,
that little girl.
It's just trying to identify her. Yeah, he knows his followers are weaponized.
I am trying to identify her. He could give a flying fuck.
He tried to identify her that night.
Okay, that night, everybody who watched that stream was trying to identify.
And then he showed a picture of her just 2 days ago. Just 2 days ago, he showed a picture on his Facebook.
What is a picture of the falling
girl on his Facebook? And Turtleboy, he knows. He says that
falling incident, because that does not look like a child. That looks like either a drunk woman.
I know it was his wife. I'm sorry. Turtleboy's wife was over. I didn't want her to get in trouble. Sorry. I shouldn't have.
Funny, but what has Turtleboy's wife ever done to you? Like, if you're gonna make, why don't you just call this?
What did that little kid do to you? That's the point. I'm saying if you're gonna go down and try to attack a kid, then I'm gonna attack his wife. That's the point. Stop attacking the kid. Stop attacking the kid.
You're not attacking the kid. I am saying that is not a child. That was a, like, okay, if a child. Why won't you prove to me? What about the NDA question? That was a legit question. What if?
Well, so that's the thing. Okay, so once the bombs drop, after the second bomb drop, sure. Because so the first one, I guess maybe. Well, should I drop the first one? No, I don't know.
Yeah, drop it like it's hot. Park it like a car. Like a salt shaker.
I don't know. I'm a little nervous.
Oh, what can I say to make you less nervous? Maybe pretend like it's Joe Rogan. Take a puff of weed. Feel comfortable. Relax.
No, I guess I'll just have to. I'll drop the first chapter soon, and then it'll all make
Drop
sense.
the truth bomb. Drop the truth bomb. Let's go. 3.
Well, okay. Well, actually, okay. So you want to know how the first chapter goes? This is pretty good actually, and this is. I ended up. I go to meet this guy in a park. I had just trained 3 crews from different areas. It took a while, and he was supposed to pay me like $44,000. Right? That's what he was supposed to pay me. And I was actually expecting him to pay me more. I was, because of our history. He's just always been generous. And I'm like, I'm excited. And I played a lot of chess with this guy. He very good chess player. We were good friends. Actually, we hadn't hung out for a while at this point though. But either way, so we meet up at the park, and he's got this big guy, and he brings up my daughter's seizure disorder. There was this other kid the dad who killed himself and his kid, and his kid had a seizure disorder. And the guy ends up bringing that up, and he's just like, what did he say? It was just like, well, he brought it up, and he ended up saying, the Lord would not have given you all these tough issues if he wasn't trying to build you up for something strong. And this is actually right before everything ends up happening. And then he ends up giving me $250,000, and he ends up saying, like, it's supposed to be 44,000, but he ends up saying he didn't want me to sell any more extraction equipment in California. So it was like an offer that I was not allowed to refuse. It was one of those get out of town. And he did say, he goes, I don't care if you make your own oil. He's like, but I can't be having you selling these machines anymore. And so that's where the money came from. The $250,000, a lot of it, that's where it was my payout.
What was the tax bill on the quarter?
It was stolen. I had it for like 3 days.
Taxes, even if it's stolen. So, like, for instance, if I work at a law firm and then I get a check and then someone steals from me, I still have to pay taxes on the end of the year.
Yeah. Well, it was an offer that I couldn't refuse, and the money disappeared.
Taxes.
And well, okay, no, this is all in the book, anyways. We'll say, but
Okay.
either way, how much is the taxes? I don't know. It's like 33%.
What state are you living in right now?
What state? I'm actually about to be doing a lot of traveling. But I'm currently in Massachusetts.
Is that where you were last time we spoke?
Yes.
In the same house?
No.
Last time? No. Do you have a sunburn?
No. I had bad lighting.
Lighting. Don't be mean, guys. Ask legit questions.
But so that's where it comes down to, though, is just on that money, where it's just like, and that's the other thing about that guy, is he actually, and that actually, well, that is true. And we kind of bonded on religion. But he ended up saying, he made me promise that I wouldn't back down to anyone. And he actually predicted that a big battle was coming. And he made it clear that if I ran into a problem that was too big for me to solve, that he'd take care of it. And now I don't feel safe contacting him the easy way, or the way that I was directed. And I'm never, ever going to share that. But I think I can get his attention other ways. And so that's just, I figure if I get enough attention, then eventually things will sort themselves out. And I don't have any control over him. I can't control what he does, but that's the reality of things. That's just where it's like, yeah.
Can I tell you something legitimate? And I usually just ask people questions, don't usually give them advice. Merv gave me advice, so I think that it would be nice for me to maybe do the thing for you. I think I would just drop it. Like, I don't see this going, unless you were to hire an attorney to do a one and done last try, don't you see this has taken up a significant portion of your life?
Oh yeah, it's been terrible.
It's been terrible. You need to move on with your life, right?
I will, as soon as it's taken care of.
Right? What if it's not going to be taken? Like, what if you continue to lose?
I lived in a mansion with a casino. I had
Okay.
like there was like 20 slot machines in the mansion that I was in. You know, a couple hot tubs, a bar. The casino was soundproof. Had soundproof walls. You could like blare freaking music as loud as you want, and then close the doors. And it had a whole library and like I mean, it was a real mansion in the middle of the mountains. And now you're telling me you want me to just live a boring life. And that's the thing. No,
I'm
I
not
would
asking
literally rather go to Mexico. I would literally rather go to Mexico and go to the worst part, any neighborhood. I don't even care. And if I were to show up and tell them who I am, they're going to take me seriously because I have that type of background. I have the background where you might think I'm crazy, but
it's not that I think that you're crazy. The problem is, I think that you spent countless hours, countless years pursuing this.
yeah. And I did not get a safe opportunity to present evidence. That's been my problem. I just want to present evidence. Aidan Kearney stops attacking my witnesses. Let me present evidence. Case is over. But I just need to present evidence. He doesn't.
So
he wants to threaten kids. It's war. It's war.
You were capable of presenting evidence, and you chose not to, right?
Because he harassed everyone. So I need him to stop harassing everyone.
Harassed to prevent you from presenting evidence the first time.
Because he harassed everyone. There was Mike Gaffney. He ended up fabricated porn. I had threats. They said they were going to slice up my family down to the child.
Mike Gaffney was your attorney, not your witness.
He was never my attorney. He was never my attorney.
He is an attorney, right? Who helped you. He wasn't your witness.
No, he did not help me with the case. He wrote an affidavit. He signed an affidavit. That's all he did.
Okay. He is a grown-ass man, right? Who's had conflicts with Kearney other than that. So every single person that you have mentioned that Kearney is allegedly intimidating is someone that Kearney has had conflict with well before you ever put them on a witness list. Yes?
He harassed other people too. He harassed there was the Michelle Olsen. He harassed her because she helped me. He harassed there was my old roommate. There was my roommate just because I used her address. He said that he was going to burn her. He goes, he goes, if you're friends with him, he goes, I'm going to destroy you. He goes, if you're friends with that scumbag, you deserve to be destroyed. Like literally, those are like his exact words.
Do you have that evidence?
Yeah, but I'm not going to search it out. I mean, it's just...
Those are the types of things that would be pertinent to bring at an evidentiary hearing regarding witness intimidation, right? And you didn't provide evidence.
Oh, I presented tons of evidence. It is what it is. I'm going to win the appeal. I mean, that appeal I'm going to win. Like, that's just like he has no chance because like we didn't even we covered the defamatory per se, but there's also the issue preclusion. The clerk or the judge never had any facts or law behind his decision, and Turtleboy never presented any. So if the law is followed the way I should win. There's no arguments against me.
Are there any more questions from the lovely audience? Can he do anything to prove that the person who fell on him was supposed to be there? Like, is there any, for instance, can you just show us the living arrangement? So for instance, if you said to me, here's the deal, I'm staying at my friend's house. My friend lives in a 2-bedroom house and he's letting me sleep on the couch. There's only one bathroom. And so in order to get to the bathroom, the little girl would have had to walk by the couch. Like, that's an explanation I could wrap my head around. You have provided me nothing other than being like, then I'm going to talk about Aidan's wife.
Actually, earlier I said she walked down the stairs. Yeah, she walked down the stairs. She went to the bathroom. And she was just walking by to the bathroom. And there's only one bathroom in the house. And it was on the downstairs. And she walked by and decided to give me a hug.
Were you in a room?
I'm not gonna. I mean, we're already done.
Were you like in a room, or were you sleeping in like an open living?
It wasn't where I was sleeping.
Okay, were you having the conversation with me in an open area?
Yeah,
with an open
I was. I was in a living room.
Okay, so you were in the living room, and this young girl saw that you were there for approximately 2 hours having a conversation, and it was 1 a.m. And she ran up and she gave you a hug, and instead of
It might have been
hugging
close to midnight, but either way.
and instead of hugging her, you pushed her.
Yes, because it was a jerk response where it was just I did not want her on the screen because for all the reasons I described earlier.
How come she didn't say anything? How come she was completely silent even when you were pushing her?
I don't even get what you're saying.
So let's play the clip again.
Why? I don't know. I'm done with this. I'll end up playing some videos. I mean,
usually, right? If I'm
Stop
gonna
this.
run up and hug somebody,
The only reason why I'm attacking Turtleboy is because he's attacking this woman. Okay, so get that right now. That all Turtleboy has to do to stop me from doing what I'm about to keep doing is to completely stop attacking witnesses and stop attacking this girl. You should drop it. I'm done. 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 Have a great day.
Are you leaving?
Yeah, and this is ridiculous. You brought it up like 10 times. I keep saying no. I'm done.
Let's end on civil terms. Can you just sit down and we'll end on civil terms? Can you do that for me?
You bring up that I am going to seriously. I don't know why you had to bring her up again. I don't know why you had to bring her up again, because the thing is like literally that's the thing where I'm about to do things that'll probably end up getting me killed, and I would rather do that than allow this little girl to get harmed. So that's the thing is, yes, I would rather end up releasing stuff that's going to end up getting me killed than allow that girl to get harmed. So that's where we're at.
Someone's going to kill you? Who's going to kill you?
Probably.
Ooh.
The type of stuff. Have a great one.
Okay. Well, it seems that I have been left here, but this will be a perfect time for me to give my quick little announcement of future things that we have coming up on my show. We're going to do a studying for the law event. I'm still studying for the Florida bar. So, and I've been studying for it, so I'm a little bit ahead because we haven't figured out the whole situation yet. But I'm really excited to do like studying with Lauren. We haven't come up with a name for it yet. And even more exciting, we do have a new show that I'm not going to drop the name because the name's awesome. Henry came up with it and it's awesome. But it's a judge show, and I'm going to be playing like a fake YouTube judge. So if you have any beef with somebody and you want to call them out and you want to drag them into YouTube court, this is the place to do it. Yeah, definitely just send any submission ideas to Henry, the producer, or if you have a true crime idea that you want us to cover, send that to Henry, the producer, or if you want to interview, send that to Henry, the producer. On my About page has his email address, and I'm pretty sure it's henrytheproducer@gmail.com, but that could be wrong. So look at the About page. And make sure that you click like and subscribe. And thank you so much for being here. It's been 2 hours and almost 40 minutes. So I'm exhausted. I'm sure Henry is beyond exhausted because he's on a totally different side of the globe. So we're going to say goodnight to you. Henry, the producer @gmail.com. That's correct. All right. Thanks, guys. Bye, everyone. Mwah.